evening. I'm Cindy Darling, Mayor of the City of Walnut Creek, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Walnut Creek City Council. The City Council is conducting this meeting from the City Council chamber. This meeting is being video streamed and can be viewed live or later on the city's website. As some attendees may be participating in their first Walnut Creek City Council meeting, I wanted to welcome everyone and talk briefly about the public comment process. For each agenda item, there will be an opportunity for public comment on that item. Thus, if you desire to speak to an item on the agenda this evening, please hold your comments until the City Council considers that item. Additionally, we have a section on the agenda titled Public Communications, which is for public comments for items not on the agenda. Any comments during public communication should not relate to an item that is on the agenda this evening. Consistent with Section 9.5 of the City Council Handbook, 30 minutes will be initially allocated for public communication for items not on the agenda. Additional time for public communications for items not on the agenda will be provided at the end of the open session portion of the meeting if necessary. If you desire to provide a public comment, please complete a speaker identification card and line up behind the lectern at the appropriate time. Wait your turn, and then when you approach the lectern, please state your name, city of residence for the record. You will have 2 minutes to address the City Council. Please keep in mind that this is a city business meeting. The City Council has adopted rules of decorum to ensure that meetings are conducted efficiently and effectively, and that all members of the public have a full, fair, and equal opportunity to be heard. The City Council Handbook outlines decorum expected in the council chamber and can be found on our website. All remarks should be addressed to the City Council. Please do not use threatening, profane, or abusive language which disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the council meeting. Again, each speaker will have 2 minutes to make your remarks. Written comments submitted and received up to 2 hours before the meeting have been posted to the city website for public review and are included in the meeting record, but will not be separately read into the record. Good evening. I'm Cindy Darling, Mayor of the City of Walnut Creek, and welcome to the Tuesday, June 17, 2025 regular meeting of the Walnut Creek City Council. Why don't we all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Clerk Susie Martinez, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Davini?
Here.
Councilmember Francois?
Here.
Councilmember Silva?
Here, and I'm attending the meeting from Columbus, Ohio, where I'm attending a summer leadership meeting for the League of National Cities.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilk?
Here.
And Mayor Darling?
Here. All right. That brings us to our first order of business, which is the Port Chicago Remembrance Day. Port Chicago was one of those things that happens that makes you realize that we are not yet truly a country of equality. For those of you that haven't been exposed to this before, there's at the Port Chicago Naval Magazine, about 7 miles north of here, was a site where African-American soldiers were assigned during World War II to the dangerous task of loading explosives onto cargo ships. And on the night of July 17, 1944, a catastrophic explosion resulted in the deadliest home front disaster of the war, killing 320 people, most of them African-American soldiers or sailors, and injuring 390 others, and widespread damage to the nearby town of Port Chicago. And this is where the story even takes a dark turn. The surviving sailors said, we don't feel safe going back. This is not safe. We don't want to go back in. They ended up court-martialing them. 50 of the sailors, known as the Port Chicago 50, were wrongfully charged and convicted of mutiny. Well, thanks to Congressman Mark DeSaulnier and a lot of other local folks, on July 17, 2024, the President Joe Biden authorized the Navy Secretary Carlos del Toro to exonerate the Port Chicago 50 and all 258 soldiers involved, affirming the injustice of what they suffered and recognizing their actions as a pivotal moment in civil rights and military history. And this is, again, one of those things. We are bending the arc. We have come a long way. We have a lot more to go. And I would like to invite the Executive Director of the Port Chicago Alliance up to accept the proclamation. I'll meet you over there at the, or I'll go ahead and come on up and I'll meet you there in a second.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Darling, members of the City Council, and fellow community members. My name is Louis Thrower, and I serve on the board of Port Chicago Alliance. On behalf of our organization and the descendants and families of the sailors that served, I thank you for this proclamation recognizing July 17th as Port Chicago Remembrance Day here in Walnut Creek. An official Remembrance Day does more than mark a moment in time. It restores dignity. It ensures that the names, the courage, and the sacrifice of the Port Chicago sailors are not forgotten, so that future generations understand the value of service, the strength that it takes to stand with integrity, and the enduring importance of fairness and justice. This proclamation holds special significance for me, as I've had the privilege of working closely with Mayor Pro Tem Kevin Wilk over the years in efforts to preserve this important history. Thank you. And recognize the sacrifice of our veterans. Thank you all for your commitment to truth, to the memory and advancing justice through remembrance, integrity, and leadership. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
coming.
much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do we want to do
Can
a
we
picture?
have a
real quick?
picture?
Yes,
Yeah.
do a picture real quick.
Okay.
Come on up. Cindy up there on the roll.
Thank you.
Thank you so
very
much.
much. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
All right. Next, I would invite Contra Costa County Supervisors Candace Anderson from District 2 and Ken Carlson from District 4 to present to us. Candace,
Thank you.
lead it off.
Okay, and I will lead off. Ken and I both have very short presentations, slightly different districts. We talked about trying to merge it. Interestingly, what came to mind, Ken and I went to the same university, and I don't know if you remember the Pat and Jeff show. And so the president of the university, Jeff Holland, often brought his spouse next to him, and they would both talk back and forth. We're not doing the Pat and Jeff show, so I'm going to quickly go through my presentation.
More like the button Jeff.
So anyway, and oh, and I even get a clicker, and where am I pointing?
Go ahead and point wherever and it'll go.
Allegedly. Let's try. Oh, there we go. Okay, so here we are, map of the county. I always love to talk about a little bit about our districts. Ken and I, of course, as you know, get to share Walnut Creek, and I also get to represent Lafayette, Moraga, Orinda, Danville, San Ramon, Alamo, and then these wonderful unincorporated communities. Not everyone realizes there are 19 cities in Contra Costa County, but 38 unincorporated communities of significance. And some basic facts right now, we've got about a $7.1 billion budget, but most of that comes from the state and federal government. That goes toward our health services. I'll talk a little bit about that. We've got a little over 11,000 county employees, county populations just under 1.1 million, and we were established 175 years ago. We're one of the original counties in California. So where is this $7 billion spent? 56% does go to health, 22% to public safety, and public safety is the sheriff, the district attorney, the public defender, our chief probation officer, and then a conflict counsel and animal services. 13% goes to public assistance, what many people might see as welfare, helping the indigent. I will say much of our health budget also goes to helping those who are living at the poverty level as well. 5% general, 3% facilities ways, which is kind of our public works. And so impacts from the federal government, we're seeing, for example, a grant from the EPA for a North Richmond Community Resilience Initiative. That was terminated. We're anticipating other projects like that being terminated. We're seeing significant changes how the state decides to fund Medi-Cal, particularly with those who are undocumented. And so at the end of the year, those who are sort of able-bodied adults, not children, not seniors, will have a cutoff, and they will no longer be eligible to participate in Medi-Cal. And then with changes from Medicaid from the federal government, there will be even less revenue available to reimburse the state for anyone who is not documented as well. And so we anticipate those costs being passed on to us. We are seeing reductions in SNAP, which is food. This is our CalFresh program. We anticipate that we're going to really need to be stepping up with our nonprofit partners to ensure that people don't go hungry. We're seeing housing vouchers disappear. Some that were supposed to be for 10 years are just for 18 months. Nonprofit refugee settlement funding was just cut off without any notice to those refugee settlement agencies where we already had refugees. We were able to restore some funding to them. And groups like Civicor that really are out there helping as AmeriCorps funding gets cut, that as well. We're anticipating many, many more once we see finally what the federal budget's going to look like. But we are being very prudent fiscally to not spend down our reserves right now because we anticipate worse days ahead. We are going to, though, be looking at allocating to each supervisorial district $1 million of money that used to be ARPA money. We did not spend all of our ARPA money because we were waiting for FEMA reimbursement on a lot of things that we put out during the pandemic. Fortunately, most of the FEMA money came in prior to the administration cutting off FEMA funding, and so we do have some money that is now in our general reserve, but each supervisor will be, in the next couple of months, talking about where would the $1 million in their district best be spent. Property taxes went up a very modest 4.18%. Walnut Creek, you're about just a little bit below that at 4.04%, and similarly, unincorporated Walnut Creek, 4.12%. I know that impacts your general fund just as it impacts our county general fund. We're just not as dependent upon it. Recent changes in county departments. Hopefully everyone paid their property taxes this year and saw they were not writing it to, and it wasn't really going to Russell v. Watts. That's who your bill came from. It's now, we appointed Dan Mirswa when Russell v. Watts stepped down prior to the end of his elected term. We have, within the last year and a half, our new Animal Services Director, Ben Winkleblack, who's doing a really outstanding job working with our nonprofit partners, trying to help rescue groups as well. And we have an interim health director. Ori Zavelli is acting in that role as we do a nationwide search for his replacement. And we also have an interim auditor controller, Haj Nathal, who is acting as his interim director. We're doing a national search for that because Bob Campbell, the elected interim, or the elected auditor controller, decided to step down as well. So we have some interesting positions that we hope to get filled. They're very important positions, and two of them are elected office, both the auditor controller and the tax collector. Urban limit line, that's coming your way next year. It will most likely be on the June primary ballot. We don't anticipate making significant changes to the urban limit line, and for anyone who's not familiar with it, we first approved it as a county in 1990. It was then extended in 2006 with it expiring in 2026. And essentially, it's a way to control sprawl. And it's to say we want 65% of all of the county to be in open space, agricultural land, undeveloped areas. 35% can be urban, where we have businesses, where we have housing, and we've been able to really stay within that as we've looked at it. And back, you may recall, in 2016, 2017, we did study the urban limit line just to make sure that we felt there was sufficient buildable land within the urban areas that we didn't feel the need to expand it. Family Justice Center, I've got to thank Kevin on the board of the Family Justice Center. We got that open back in December of 2024, and Ken used to be on the Family Justice Center board as well, and really just it's something that continues to grow in use. I know the Concord is close by for Walnut Creek residents, but we do have the center right off Diablo Road, right off the freeway. We're finding interesting a lot of adult protective service cases coming forward, but we are hoping to continue to expand that. Family Justice Center, it's a one-stop place for someone who's facing either interpersonal violence or abuse, or whether it be elder abuse, child abuse, where you don't have to pay any fees, but you can get the help that you need. Point in time count. This is really exciting news to see that this one night, this one point in time in January where we counted our homeless population, we were down 26% in Contra Costa County. And that's a huge decrease, needless to say. I do always want to thank your council, because you are one of the few cities in Contra Costa County that steps up and does a lot for our homeless population. And despite some of the negatives that come with having shelters, having services, you've really stepped up. So I want to thank you for that. As you can see from these numbers, Walnut Creek, 2024, you were at 64. You dropped to 50 people. And again, this is just a snapshot on any given night. And while we see it in the 2000s, the number, we do know that close to 10,000 people access some type of homeless services in the county in a given year. But this is just the snapshot we had, and we're very heartened by this data. A lot of it is by rapid rehousing, and that's where you get people into beds, both temporary, permanent beds. That really helped reduce these numbers, and it just is showing what's working. So we're looking forward to continuing on that path as well. Something I'm working on right now is dual tracking on the Iron Horse Trail. As you may recall, Iron Horse Trail was bought by the county from Southern Pacific. There was an edict that said, you need to maintain that Iron Horse Trail, that someday we're going to magically drop down a light rail, a train, a busway. Never really was going to materialize. When the cost, and two, when I became even a council member in 2003, when I bring this up, people would say, well, over my dead body, is that going to happen? Because it's been used for recreation. Senator Glazer, Senator Glazer? It was Senator Grayson, at the time an assembly member, brought forward legislation that let the county out from under that edict, recognizing the importance of it as an active transportation corridor. And so as San Ramon is finishing, having their groundbreaking this Saturday of their overpass on Boulder Canyon Road, that's where we're going to start, where we're in the design phase of having a pilot dual tracking from Bollinger to Crow Canyon Road. I'm hoping that the transportation expenditure plan will be able to include that. East Bay Regional Park District, which manages the trail, is very interested, but of course they need to have their expenses covered. And right now with the issue of e-bikes, I don't know if it's an issue with any of you, I'm being a little facetious here, but it's something we all need to address, and having e-bikes going at a reasonable speed that's permissible in a specific bike lane would be a great improvement. With the topic of e-bikes, it has been something where even the county, is there a countywide ordinance that we should all be adopting? I know that a lot of people are discussing it. I was just talking to Tim Hale this morning from the Contra Costa Transportation Authority. It's something we need to look at, because unfortunately, youth who do not have driver's licenses are racing around on e-bikes. It's dangerous for them. It's dangerous for all of us who may encounter them. And Contra Costa Fire Protection District continues to grow. We did last month annex in Rodeo Hercules. We are not planning, as I say whenever I talk about this, to taking over the world. San Ramon Valley Fire has an excellent fire district, as does Moraga Orinda, but this is an opportunity to make our communities safer by providing services to these communities at no additional cost or detraction of services that we have. They were able to bring their funding, their property tax, a parcel tax they have, and with the efficiencies of joining Confire, we're able to do that. Sign up for the community warning system. We're continuing to work on improving it. Ken and I are doing that in our public protection committee that we serve on, but it's so important that people go in to cwsalerts.com, sign up so you get text messages, you get emails. Find your evacuation zone, because in a fire, you can go to the community warning system. You can see which zone you are in as to what the instructions are when you should evacuate. And finally, my office is always here to help you, either in our Danville office or our Lafayette office. And if you don't get my e-newsletter, you should. And I'm going to turn it over to Ken.
And now you can take a deep breath.
The breath.
Thank you. Ken, take it away.
Well, good evening, Mayor Darling, Mayor Pro Tem Wilk, and council members. Appreciate the opportunity to be with you. I'm sorry it's been a little while, but I'm glad to share a little bit more. You got a lot of information there, and I'll try to do my best to keep it from too much. But again, we cover in District 4 the cities of Clayton, Concord, Pleasant Hill, and of course Walnut Creek, and all the unincorporated communities within there. I'm proud to say I have the majority of Walnut Creek. Just saying. We are split in half, but again, we have everything but really the Park Mead and the Saranac neighborhoods. So we cover the two unincorporated Seven Hills and the San Miguel, Walnut Heights area as well in the district. 25% of District 5 population, about 250-some thousand people, 25% of them are Walnut Creek residents. And a lot of times when I go out in the community, it's like, what does a supervisor actually do? And me transitioning from city council just a few short years ago, it was a little bit of a transition. As a city council member, I did not hire and appoint the department leaders. Those are done by the Board of Supervisors. Of course, we handle the budget, we approve ordinances just like you all do. And we do have a team of great staff members who help our constituents navigate all the different services within the county. And we are a resource for not only you, but the residents. We get to the boards and other activities that I engage in. And of course, like tonight, and I'm really grateful that you recognized the Port Chicago 50, and the event last year was truly amazing and an emotional experience to be a part of. Thanks to the chair, have a significant change in my assignments this year. And I'm very proud that I chair the Airport Committee, the Equity Committee, the Sustainability Committee. I serve with Chair Anderson on the Public Protection Committee. I'm also serving on the Medical Services Joint Committee, which really manages the hospital and the health system, not the health plan. And then I also am on the Los Medanos Healthcare Operations Committee. But beyond that, I also serve on many regional bodies, and I serve on the Board of Directors for ABAG, the Association of Bay Area Governments. I serve on the Bay Area Air Quality Management District. I have a privilege this year of chairing the Stationary Source Committee, which really deals with our refineries and other pollution sources within our communities. The Solid Waste Authority, Recycle Smart, with my counterparts here. And of course, the Transportation Authority and the Regional Transportation Planning Committee, TransPAC, and then the Pleasant Hill BART JPA in conjunction with BART, that is county jurisdiction. And there are many more besides that. Across all the departments, like Chair Anderson mentioned, a significant part of what we do is the social safety net, healthcare, and of course our public protection, public defender, DA, and the sheriff's office. Some of the things that I'm really proud of that over the course of my term on the board, we were able to, with the help of Department of State and Immigration Support Services. We actually held the first naturalization ceremony within the supervisors' chambers. 17 different countries represented by over 30 people took their oath of citizenship there. And we had kind of a little bit of a fair afterwards in the sense that people could sign up and get registered to vote, they could apply for their passports, and they could get connected to county services there. Very proud that the board has been able to approve balanced budgets each and every year. And we have expanded healthcare prior to what we're dealing with now to make sure that everybody had access to health care who resides in the county. We've also allocated 8.5, it's actually 8.9 million to our African American Holistic Wellness Resource Hub to expand services to provide culturally competent services to our African American population across the county. We have invested several times over in the last 3 years now to stand together Contra Costa to provide immigration and legal support services to those who are facing the challenges of asylum and going into our immigration courts. One of the things, pets are near and dear to my heart, so I was very glad to champion a $750,000 allocation out of Measure X fund to support pet retention, basically spay and neutering clinics, vaccination and microchipping in partnership with our community organizations out there looking after our pet population. I won't go into the county budget because Chair Anderson covered that exceptionally well. The other thing I'm really proud of is I led the charge for the SAFE Center, services and accesses for everyone. And some of the challenges we're facing with our immigrant population, 27% of the county's population are immigrants. That doesn't necessarily mean undocumented or documented. It's just 27% are immigrants to this country. So with that $5 million, we're going to provide support to the immigrant community as a whole. We will trying to locate that in the Concord area, and potentially it will provide services across the county, but the idea was we had the benefit, I say that in sarcasm, of the immigration court springing up on us in Concord, and it's been, if you're watching the news, kind of the center of attention for the last few months, but we're looking to provide that service a little closer proximity to the court because a good part of what they will be doing will be legal support, but it'll also be connecting them to economic opportunity, job opportunities, healthcare access, and other resources that we can provide. It did work. Really proud that we did. The Board of Supervisors allocated $5 million, $15 million total across 3 different districts for youth centers. We found a great opportunity right in our backyard in Concord, knowing that we couldn't really build and throw up a youth center on $5 million. So we were able to partner with the Community Youth Center in Concord. They were recently given the old Big C Athletic Club. They are currently operating. They're serving a little over 2,100 kids in 3 light commercial buildings in Concord. But they were given the Big C Athletic Club, which is 75,000 square feet. So with help of Concord, state dollars, and then our $5 million contribution, they were able to meet the $9 million need to convert the Big C Athletic Club into a large youth center. Construction is ending this month. Services are expected to move in September, and then they will be, again, trying to serve over 3,800 kids. It is intended to be District 4, but they are serving kids across the county. I just received an update from them that next month, one of their graduates, who is 18 years old, still in high school, beat out college students across the nation to represent us in, I believe, Bulgaria, in the World Wrestling Amateur Championship. I don't know the specific, but yes. So they're producing not only great athletes, but they have mentoring programs, access programs, and they're going to expand their programming based on moving into the new center where they now have a pool and they have other dance studios. So cheer, it's for all ages from 3 on up. Anywhere, anyone, anytime, A3 program, and I'm sure, the county, we've made a significant investment in reducing the interaction between law enforcement and those who are facing behavioral health crises. So with A3, we've already, and we started slow and continue to ramp up and continue to add staffing, but we're already in those few short years reached almost 37,000 calls. So we're getting almost 500 calls per week. Just for your info, 1,231 of those calls came from the city of Walnut Creek. And you can always go to our website at cchealth.org A3 and actually see that dashboard and see what we're doing there. We continue to move forward to trying to open the A3 campus, which is at Oak Grove Road in Concord. We are very, very close. Somehow, challenges with electricity, perhaps, sometimes delay things. I think we've all here experienced that. So I don't want to call anybody out, but we're getting there. And we're really excited because there will be that peer resilience. There will be a sobering center, a wellness clinic. There's just so many services that'll be there, as well as the call center. For you all, not that it's within the city, but those unincorporated neighborhoods within Walnut Creek, we have our service treatment and overlay program going. We have just over $6 million between the overlay, resurfacing, or other treatments. They're going to be starting this summer. So residents in those neighborhoods will be notified. If you want to look for it, it's at cccounty.us at our Public Work Projects page. And again, we are here as a resource for you, as a partner, and as Chair Anderson mentioned, with the $1 million, wow, they get to double dip. Huh. There is a benefit to having a split city when it comes to districting. Sign up for our newsletter because we are going to be putting out the parameters and outreach opportunities to engage the district on how we might best allocate those ARPA dollars. So sign up for my website or sign up for my newsletter and we'll keep you posted, as well as we will inundate you anyway with the information to get you as partners in the plan. So I really am grateful to be here and work together with you all. I thank you.
Well, and I know we all appreciate everything that you guys do for us. Just give them a round of applause.
Oh, and I'll answer any question you want.
I know. I was going to give you the applause, and then I was going to let people ask questions. Any questions for the supervisors?
Not questions per se. I work with both of you on several committees as well. And I've got to say, I don't know how you get out there and get about all that you're doing. You are so responsive to me and to, I think, all of us and the residents of Walnut Creek. I really appreciate that. You both make our jobs easier too. So thank you for all you're doing.
Councilmember Silva, did you have anything? I waited till you got your coffee.
Wait.
I don't know, Cindy, what have you got to say to us?
She can't unmute.
This-
We're
this
safe.
is-
Oh, we're good. We're good.
The unmuting's not happening, yeah.
Yep. I pushed my button, but I don't think it'll work. Anyway,
All right, I'll see you at A-Bag.
anything else?
All right, no, I was just going to say thank you for all that you do. And it runs all the way across the nation to our admiration for your work. So thank you.
Councilmember Francois?
Thank you, Mayor. I will echo that. Serving with both of you on the Recycle Smart Authority is a privilege, and we feel very fortunate to have 2 of the 5 supervisors representing Walnut Creek. I appreciate you mentioning the ARPA funding, and if someone were to go on your website, they'd get more information about that too, I imagine.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Wait for it.
And one thing I was going to say with it, what we're asking our county administration staff is to actually have surveys on our county website, because we always sort of hear from the same groups who are sort of in the know of this is what's out there, this is what we want to see money spent. But we know there are a lot of needs in the community, oftentimes from a small nonprofit, a small business, whoever it is, who don't always have that same access or even ability to come lobby the Board of Supervisors. So that's where an online form where we can push it out, and you can push it out through your city newsletter as well, we can get that input.
That's great. And just one last question about the dual tracking. Because I wasn't aware, I was out on the Iron Horse this morning, and it's such a resource, and it's such a nice, really treasured recreational amenity. I wasn't aware that there was going to be proposal for light rail down it at one time, but down in San Ramon, what does that project consist of?
Well, that project really is just from Bollinger Canyon to Crow Canyon, and this just is a pilot example because of clean water requirements, other things. It has to be a little bit over-engineered, but essentially, as you come off the new bridge, there's a little bit of a roundabout that would either direct you to the single slow track, move at your own pace, to then a different way that would take you right to the dual track where you would be able to go, be a lane that has sort of a dotted line down the middle where bicyclists can go at a much, sort of the bicycle expressway, just really taking advantage of it. Of course, we've got a lot of underground utility lines under there, jet fuel. I mean, it's something not to be trifled with, but the requirement literally from the state was you had to maintain this 15-foot wide berth down the middle, and you could not touch it because you were supposed to magically place, and it was studied multiple times. We even looked at putting BART down there, even undergrounding BART there. I mean, you're talking billions and billions of dollars besides the over my dead body will you do that to my favorite Iron Horse Trail.
I'll just real quick add that North Walnut Creek, the Schroeder Bridge is going to be undergoing repairs because we identified an issue with it. And the issue is that it needs these repairs because of overuse. It was engineered for a certain amount of pedestrian and bicycle traffic. It is so well used that we're ahead and have to do actual repairs.
Is that the one near the Pleasant Hill BART?
Treat Jones,
Yeah.
yeah. So there will be repairs coming there as well as a new paint job.
Make it look nice.
I guess I had one other one. In terms of the urban limit line, I know you recently adopted your housing element and general plan. Did you have any issues or constraints with accommodating your RENA numbers given the urban limit line, or did you focus most of the growth?
Because we had our existing urban limit line, we really made sure that what we were putting in for our RENA numbers, which was about 7,500 for the county, for unincorporated Contra Costa County, that nothing even came close. It also helps that we now have the high fire severity maps, and so a lot of the tweaking that you will see will be taking high fire severity areas out of the urban limit line because we don't want to see anything going in there. So no, fortunately, it won't impact it. Really, it's sort of cleanup as opposed to, we joke that when it was originally drawn, they used a really thick Sharpie on the map. And sometimes you just have to clean a little of those areas up when parcels were divided or it just wasn't making logical sense.
Thank you.
Good job. No, that was exactly it. I mean, it was cleaning up based on zoning or designation as well for things maybe out in the Byron area or the fire severity zone, huge impact. Otherwise, clean up around some of the harbors and the shoreline and simple, really minor changes.
And that'll go to the voters next June, you said?
Next June, and you should be seeing more outreach. It has, our county staff has been going out, making presentations. We just had a hearing on it a couple weeks ago to receive any input, but it will, we want to put it on the March primary just in case it doesn't pass, so we can make sure it passes in November. But we anticipate most people really like the urban limit line. Some of our cities do have their own urban growth boundary that is independent of this, but overall, it's going to continue to protect what we have right now in our county.
Terrific. Thank you both.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Councilmember DeFinney?
Yeah, just thank you both for being here tonight and updating us on what you're doing. And I just want to say, as someone who's new to the council and reached out to both of you and had coffee, and I just really appreciate how accessible, how engaged, how easy it's been to work with you. And I wrote down some questions, but I'm going to reach out to you on the side. So thank you.
I'm very happy to. We're really here as a resource. And I've got to say, one of my favorite parts of being a county supervisor is working with the city councils and figuring out how can we help you make your job any easier when it comes down to exciting things like environmental health or restaurants or, unincorporated issues that back into yours. Again, I've really, over the last 13 years that I've been a county supervisor, the partnership I've had with those of you on the council has really been something fun. I really enjoy working with each of you.
Yeah, and I think from our perspective, as we recognize that as the federal funding challenges become clearer, that you guys are facing a much tougher lift than we at the cities are. And we want to offer to you, if there's anything we can do, any message we can, I don't know, put in a bottle and send out in the ocean. But if there's anything we can do to help you make the case for the federal funding, we recognize how important it is, and we value that partnership to keep our population safe. So thank you guys all very much for
Thank
coming.
you very much.
Enjoy the rest of your meeting
Yeah.
this evening.
Let's go to dinner down the street.
Thank you, guys. All right. At this time, I'd like to invite Donna Labriola, the Director of Events and Community Relations with Walnut Creek Downtown, to present the Summer Arts Program.
Hello, everyone. Let me raise that up a little bit. I'll take that. Well, thank you very much to the mayor and the city council and city staffers to allow us to have this time. Normally, I just get up here and I have about 2 minutes to run through everything. So hopefully I can slow myself down here and give you a little more of a detailed run through. Just one thing. So the Summer Arts in Walnut Creek program started actually as the Arts Around August program about 5 years ago. We are in our 5th year now, and that was a collaboration started by Cindy Silva and the arts and nonprofit community here in Walnut Creek. So we're delighted to be in our 5th year and watching the program continue to grow. So, and I have to go back and forth. I'm going back to bifocals because I can't see that if I'm looking at this. Anyway, we have just a lot of programs that we run. We have 12 different arts and community organizations that participate in our monthly meetings and putting together programs throughout the summer months, so June through August. And on the screen, there are some highlights of some of the events, but I'm just going to talk a little bit about the purpose. So basically, the purpose for the Summer Arts is to highlight and show our city to outsiders as well as locals, and to be able to allow local artists and audiences to come together. It started as a program to be able to offer more arts opportunities for everyone, more free programs, more opportunities for people to come into the Leisure Center to see the performing arts, and it's really grown. We've actually seen over the 5 years a 14% increase in attendance for downtown events, which just basically translates into more foot traffic into our local businesses, more people going into restaurants, and really more people having access to the arts, which right now, with all of the funding cuts and difficulties in being able to offer those, it's nice to be in a community where we can still do that and bring people in. Which one? There we go. Oh, where are we at? Some of the highlights so far. So the program runs through August. So this is kind of a midway update. We've had several events go on so far, and the top attended events are the Locust Street Festival. It helps that we're doing 4. The Walnut Creek Art and Wine Festival, the Pride Day at Bedford Gallery, the Fiesta Cultural, the Street Festival, Opera in the Park, and the Makers Market at Broadway Plaza. Those were the top attended events so far, and we're looking forward to getting into the remaining ones. I do want to just call out the program partners right now. So the Ballet School of Performing Arts, the Bedford Gallery, Broadway Plaza, the California Symphony, Center for Community Arts, the Community Partnership for Walnut Creek Downtown, Diablo Magazine, Diablo Regional Arts Association, Festival Opera, the Leisure Center for the Arts, the City of Walnut Creek, thank you, and the Walnut Creek Downtown Association. And Visit Walnut Creek is a huge program sponsor, as well as the Community Partnership for Walnut Creek Downtown and the Diablo magazine. There we go. So this is the calendar that, has already, we've pretty much gone through these events. There's one event left on there, which is the Locust Street Festival, which happens tomorrow. So certainly come out and support that. Some of the highlights for the events, what they've been able to bring in terms of community impact, specifically the Locust Street Festival. Over the course of the 4 festivals, we'll have had over 50 artisan vendors, which are come out and be able to gain exposure in our community, as well as offer direct sales opportunities for those vendors. Again, the purpose for hosting these events in the downtown area and in our community is really to increase the revenue opportunities to our downtown businesses and to create a vibrant downtown. We appreciate the city's support in the street closures that we do, especially because it creates this pedestrian-friendly opportunity, a block party feel. If you haven't been out to one of the Locust Street festivals, do come out tomorrow. It's a lot of fun, a lot of families, a lot of young people, and music and food, and our restaurants are participating. So it's a great time. The other thing is one that I've already sort of talked about a little bit, is the opportunity to make the arts accessible. Some of those free events, that the Opera in the Park, the Art and Wine Festival, the Fiesta Cultural, these are all things that are opportunities for people to come into our community and really enjoy what we have to offer. One of the things that's been especially nice is to hear some of the community comments and testimonials from the events. One specifically was from Opera in the Park. A young woman so I'm just going to read what she said and not try to. Opera in the Park was magical, standing on a blanket under the sky on a beautiful day. It felt like the whole city was singing, it's somebody who wouldn't necessarily, I don't know if you had a chance to see any of the photos that were posted from that, but the park was full. I mean, I like opera, but it's also something that people don't necessarily go out of their way to see if they haven't been before or someone hasn't introduced them to it. And it was just such a great day. It was a beautiful day. The sun was out, people on blankets with picnics, and of course the performance was wonderful. So just a great free opportunity to bring people back around again to the arts. And let me go to the next one. There we go. So some of the events that we've highlighted with some pictures are the Locust Street Festival. One of the great programs that the Ballet School of Performing Arts does is they do a demonstration, a ballet demonstration, which is great to get more people engaged. Their students are just, they're so enthusiastic, and there's actually one of the pictures from the Opera in the Park there. Then we hosted the Uncorked event, which if you had an opportunity to be out and even just downtown, so much positive feedback about, the stores that maybe people hadn't gone into before. And then Fiesta Cultural, over year, they've brought in additional people. That street festival has just been really exciting. And so it's, again, a lovely opportunity. Those are past, though, so you can't go to those. But you can still come out for these that are on this. We have the Summer Sounds at the Leisure Center, free concerts there in Rudney Plaza. And I have a list of those. So the three are July 17th, which is this Thursday. There's one, and that's Tom Rigney and Flambeau. And on July 24th, and I may have, butchered his name, so I'm sorry about that. July 24th, there's another one. These concerts are from 5:30 to 6:30. They're free. There's seating there in Rudney Plaza available, and it's just a fun hour to come out, catch dinner afterwards. And then on July 31st, there is the Summer Sounds Anthony Paul Soul. And I'm sorry, July 24th is VUP, which is a funk and soul band. So those are some fun things to do. Also, we'll have the concert series for the Broadway Plaza is going to be starting on that day as well. And actually, you can hit both of those concerts. So you could do 2 free concerts in one night, one on each side of town. So, and that is going to be a Taylor Swift called Swift Nation, kicking off the Summer Sound or the Broadway Plaza concert series. And then those 3 are all Thursday nights and in a row. And so then there's 2 more in August, and it's all female artists and female bands. So it should be exciting. And those are, all of these are on our website, as well as additional events that might not be listed on this because we're adding them as they come up. One more. There we go. And there's some of the additional ones. The Rag Dolls are on August 7th for that summer concert series. And on the 14th, I'm so sorry, is the 3 Queens of Motown. So that should be fun too. And in conclusion, as we look ahead for the coming years for this program, we are meeting regularly, and at the end of August, we'll have a meeting where we go back and just find out more details specifically from each of the participants who hosted events during the Summer Arts, and come back and do a complete recap and hopefully have some more economic impact numbers for you at that time. But again, moving ahead for future years, we are looking to expand some of the programs. Obviously, we'd love to see more Opera in the Park or more free festivals where there's music and or access to the theater and the Leisure Center and the DRAA really make a point of offering those opportunities. Again, we have a month and a half left, so if you haven't come out to any of these events, check out our website. It's under Summer Arts, and there's a whole list of all of the additional events coming up. And I encourage you to attend, invite your neighbors, and always sponsor and volunteer opportunities for all of the different organizations that are involved in this, not just during the summer, but throughout the year. And also, if you do come out, take some pictures, share your stories. Lots of people are looking at social media, and it really helps just to continue the story that people can see and feel what we're doing here in Walnut Creek. If they've missed out, they'll come back.
Okay.
And just feel so much gratitude to be in a place working with such a wonderful community that we really spend time and energy to make sure that it's accessible to everyone, that we have offering art. I just know personally how excited I am about all of the things that we get to do, and how it's changed people's lives that I know, just having that opportunity to go and listen to music or to see artists or to take a class. So thank you, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Donna, and thank you for all that you guys do. So you've heard the stories. Now go check the website, get it on your calendar, and we want to see you all downtown. With that, unless there's any questions, we'll move on to the consent calendar. Does any council member wish to pull any item for discussion? Or any staff member?
I'm actually going to pull item 2P.
2P. Don't feel you
Mayor?
have to do this. Yes,
Mayor,
yes, Councilmember
I
Silva.
would like to pull items 2C through I, but I will just make some comments on the collective.
So all the policing contracts and subletters?
Actually, all the side letter, all the employee relations related.
Okay. And would it work to, okay, when we get there, I want to do C through G and then H and I separate. Councilmember DeFinney, are you good with anything?
Yeah, you pulled them all already, yeah. H, I, and P, yeah.
I don't think there's anything left to pull.
That's good. Okay, so at this time, does any member of the public wish to comment on items 2A, 2B, to J, K, L, M, N, O, or Q? Anyone? Seeing no comment, I'm ready to open for a motion.
Move to approve items, oh my gosh, what were those? 2A, B, J, K, L, M, N, O, and Q.
And I will second
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
that with the notation that that would include the items that had corrections.
Yes, yes, there were a couple that had errata on the, so,
Mayor Pro Tem Welk,
Aye.
Councilmember Silva,
Aye.
Councilmember DeVinny,
Aye.
Councilmember Francois,
Aye.
Mayor Darling.
aye.
Motion carries.
All right, going back through, let's take C through G, and I'll turn to Councilmember Silva.
Well, I'm going to try to phrase this recognizing that you have comments or questions on the other two, but I just want to take a moment to thank all of our employees for the work that they do on behalf of the community. We have 7 associations of employees representing about 370 plus employees, and whether you are filling potholes on the road or making ball fields look beautiful and having them safe, whether you're helping those who are homeless or those who are seniors and need extra services, or managing programs for kids. You do a great service for the community, and you make Walnut Creek a place where people want to live, work, visit, and that makes Walnut Creek very special. So thank you to all of our employees.
Okay. Any more comments on this? Any public comment on C through G? Seeing none, I'm open for a motion.
Move to adopt items C, D, E, F, and G from the consent calendar.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Silva,
Aye.
Councilmember Francois,
Aye.
Councilmember DeVinny,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Welk.
Aye.
And Mayor Darling.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, now we'll do 2H and 2I. I think all of us, I was going to pull these, so I'll start it because I'm the mayor, I can do that. We all recognize that doing contract negotiations, especially in a year where our budget has been tight, and we really appreciate all the hard work of HR and the representatives for the 2 unions coming together and coming up with an agreement that works for everybody, because we want to make sure that we are investing in public safety and investing in a cost-effective way. So I just wanted to say that. Is there any specific questions that anybody wanted to ask?
I was going to comment on the same items. Did you want me to do
You
that now?
may feel free to comment.
Okay. No, I too very happy that the city reached an agreement with the POA and the PMA, and I think it looks like it's going to be a nice package for the department, the police department. Hopefully that will raise our competitive edge in the market and help us to get as close to fully staffed as possible. I just want to say that value the work that the police department's doing. I think there's a good culture in the department, and now with this package of compensation, it will really help us in the recruiting side of things. I also wanted to give a shout out and a congratulations to Captain Slater for his promotion to captain.
Any other? Councilmember Silva, you're good?
Yes, I'm fine.
All right. Anybody want to come up and talk on 2H and 2I? Any public comment?
Good evening, Shane Blatz, POA President. First, I'd like to thank our bargaining team, Joe Lucia with RLS, Officer Mike Sizz, Officer Ryan Bammer, Detective Nick Olson, for all their hard work and countless hours put in behind the scenes to put this contract together. Secondly, I'd like to thank the city's representatives, Jesse Ladd, Trish Raver, and Kelly Gurton, who also worked very hard to get us to the finish line. Our membership is very pleased with this contract, and our hope is that it will help retain our current members as well as rebuild our ranks. And then lastly, I would like to thank the City Council for approving this contract, and it is and its continued investment towards public safety. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shane. And congratulations to you too, Captain Slater, from all of us. Any other public comment? With that, I'll look for a motion.
Move to
Move to-
approve items 2, G, and H.
H and
Second.
I. H and I.
Oh, shoot. Move to approve items 2, H, and I.
Second.
All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Francois.
Aye.
Councilmember Silva.
Aye.
Councilmember Davini.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Walk.
Aye.
And Mayor Darling.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And now we're down to 2P.
2P, all right.
2P. Oh, that's, you pulled this one.
I pulled that, yeah. Well, this has to do with the crossing guard services, and I guess part of the whole public safety area that we just discussed as well. So I had a couple of questions. Obviously, we are for crossing guards, and I'm going to want to have crossing guards. But Rich, if you're able to come talk to this on staff, or whoever is on staff's behalf, that'd be great.
Evening, council members. My name is Brianna Byrne, and I'm an associate traffic engineer here at the city.
Great, thanks, Brianna. So just a few questions here, because this has to do with the contract to a school crossing guard services. And I know there's been discussions over the last several years, and I think there have been changes at some point, probably a few years ago. So just so that we understand better and the public understands better, does Mount Diablo School District pay for any crossing guards in any other city?
To my knowledge, they do not. In similar situation for the Walnut Creek School
Can you
District.
please, I'm sorry, actually, council members, oh, great, thanks. Brianna, could you speak up a little bit, please?
Yeah, so to my knowledge, the Mount Diablo Unified School District and the Walnut Creek School District do not participate or host their own crossing guard programs. I believe there might be a cost share with the city of Martinez that has one school, but when I followed up with that question, I did not get a response.
Okay. And is this typical in California that we see that cities usually bear the costs of the crossing guards and not school districts?
So it can depend. Locally, it is a lot of the school districts. Several agencies nearby, Pleasant Hill or Concord, have gotten away from their program. So it does depend jurisdiction to jurisdiction.
Okay. All right, thanks. So obviously money is tight. Cities, school districts, everything, but crossing guards and the safety of our kids are certainly most important. That's all the questions that I had.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I was going to pull the same item, so just a few comments. One of the things that I was asked frequently during the campaign process was how can the city of Walnut Creek, collaborate and support our schools? And, I think that's a really important item. And when you look at this item, $1.6 million to provide crossing guards, I mean, it's not a small number. So I'm happy to see that, we're supporting the schools in this way. I know to Mayor Pro Tem Wilkes' point, not all cities support their schools that way. So, I think this is a great program, and then I also just look forward to finding other ways to collaborate with the school district to try to support them.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I too wanted to thank primarily the voters for passing Measure O, because we're able to fully fund the crossing guards because of the extra revenue that we get from Measure O, take a little bit of the load off the school districts that have a lot of other competing uses for their dollars. So happy to see that we're able to do this thanks to Measure O.
Yeah. And I would reiterate that Measure O was a great accomplishment, and it really has helped us meet the safety needs of our community. So thank you. And at this time, is there any member of the public with comment?
Mayor, when
Oh.
you come back, I will say something.
Okay. Any public comment? Okay, I'll go to Councilmember Silva.
Oh, thank you very much. And I just want to thank staff for working through with this contract. We started this as a collaborative with Concord and the Mount Diablo School Districts and the Walnut Creek School Districts maybe 10 years ago, and finances have been tight since then, both for schools and for the city. So Measure O was a great help. But I also want to say it's particularly challenging in Walnut Creek because we have 5 school districts that the children of Walnut Creek go to school in. So we have to make sure that it is equitable across these multiple school districts. So thank you to staff for working on that as well.
Thank you. And I'm open for a motion.
No, move to approve item 2P and authorize the city manager to execute a consultant service agreement with our crossing guard services.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem Walk.
Aye.
Councilmember Devaney.
Aye.
Councilmember Francois.
Aye.
Councilmember Silva.
Aye.
And Mayor Darling.
Aye,
Motion
and
carries.
thank you, guys. Now, next on the agenda, you've all been waiting with bated breath. It's for public communications. This portion of the meeting is reserved for comments on items not on the agenda. Under the Brown Act, the council cannot act on items raised during public communications, but may respond briefly to statements made or questions posed. We may request clarification, or we may refer the item to staff. Consistent with Section 9.5 of the City Council Handbook, 30 minutes will be allocated, so that will take us to 7:37 for public communication. Additional time for public communication for items not on the agenda will be provided at the end of the meeting if necessary. We have had a number of written comments submitted, and they have been posted on the city's website for public review and are included in the meeting record, but will not be separately read into the record. At this time, it is 7:07, and we will take comments to 7:37. I sense that there might be a few people in the room that want to talk, and I urge you to remember that you don't need to repeat everything that somebody said before you. So feel free to use things like, I agree with that. So anyway, go ahead and line up here. All right. Step forward, state your name, city of residence.
I'm Ilana Weissman. I live in Walnut Creek. And I'm here on behalf of 350 Contra Costa Action. Big oil remains one of the most profitable sectors of our economy without, oh, it's too hot, yes, I'm a little shorter. Big oil remains one of the most profitable sectors of our economy without having to contribute a cent to recovery from disasters for which they are partially responsible. It is well established that climate change resulting from the burning of fossil fuels is making wildfires and flooding more frequent and more intense. It is well known that Big Oil has been aware that their product causes global warming since the 1970s, while at the same time denying that climate change is human-driven. Big Oil must pay their fair share towards recovering from and preventing future California climate disasters. We, the California taxpayers, are shouldering most of the financial burden of wildfires and flooding. Our taxes have to cover the huge costs of infrastructure damage and whatever isn't covered by insurance. Our insurance premiums have to cover the enormous payouts to the victims of climate disasters. These premiums, as we all know, are rising along with the insurance companies' increasing liabilities. Walnut 350 Contra Costa Action asks Walnut Creek to join San Francisco, Los Angeles, and San Diego in passing a resolution in support of the Polluters Pay Climate Fund Act. Your support will help our legislators withstand pressure from big oil to do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Margot Thielander. I'm a Walnut Creek resident, and the former resident has mentioned some of the things I would say, but I would also mention that these disasters are costing California taxpayers millions of dollars every year and are driving a crisis of affordability in our state. So I'm here to strongly urge the City Council to pass a resolution endorsing the California Climate Superfund Act, also known as Assembly Bill 1243 and Senate Bill 684, companion bills. The purpose of the Climate Superfund Act is to require the largest oil and gas companies to contribute their fair share to a dedicated fund within the state treasury. And then this fund would be funneled into projects crucial for California's survival, from rebuilding after devastating wildfires to fortifying infrastructure against floods, fires, and rising sea. Currently, the entire burden of responding to climate change is borne by California taxpayers. The Climate Superfund Act could generate billions of dollars to offset the current state budget crisis. It's a rare opportunity for the state to recoup some of the costs of the climate crisis in California and allow us to continue our trajectory towards a cleaner, greener economy. At a time when budget cuts are threatening critical services and federal funding for disaster recovery is in question, the Climate Superfund would provide a new long-term source of revenue to protect our communities from climate change. It could provide Walnut Creek with the funds needed to implement our sustainability action plan, as well as to fund CAL FIRE to continue to develop fire breaks.
Thank you very much.
My name is Patricia Sheriff, and I live at 3441 Golden Rain Road in Rossmore. I want to use my 2 minutes to urge the council to pass a resolution in support of the California Climate Superfund Act. I want to address the oil companies' erroneous propaganda that California regulations are the cause for refinery closures. First, it is increasingly expensive for big oil to do business in California for technical reasons in the refining process, thus eroding its profitability. Unlike oil extracted elsewhere, California crude oil is unusable as it leaves the ground. It is A, dirty, and B, thick as peanut butter, and must undergo an expensive extraction process to be usable. To enable it to pass through pipelines, lighter crude rate oil is imported from elsewhere to dilute the dirty crude. The new tariffs on Canadian and other foreign oil also increase the cost. Valero and Benicia and Phillips 66 in LA have, as a result, been losing money for several years. Secondly, the demand for gasoline in California has been decreasing for many years. There's not a shortage. California exports a third of the oil it refines each year. Despite all the costs of extraction, the California fossil industry has made increasingly larger profits in the last years. The California oil majors reported a profit of over $1 per gallon in 2023. That's a profit of over $1.68 billion in a year. Should the Climate Superfund bill pass, there will be just a 5% maximum cap on the fee that can be charged to the huge oil company profits. So we needn't worry about the poor California fossil fuel industry. I urge Walnut Creek to pass a resolution in support.
Thank you.
My name is Carol Weed. I live at 1277 Avenida Sevilla in Walnut Creek. I'm urging the City Council to pass a resolution in support of the California legislation entitled Polluters Pay Climate Superfund Act, as several other California cities have done. I believe our city has the ability to influence our Assemblywoman, Rebecca Bauer-Cahan. We need her vote on the Assembly Judiciary Committee. I want to personally thank Mayor Cindy Darling and Mayor Pro Tem Kevin Wilk and Councilmember Craig DeVigny for signing on to the letter by the California elected officials supporting this legislation. The letter is being sent to Governor Newsom and leaders of the California Assembly and Senate. Its first paragraph states, quote, "We, the undersigned California elected officials, urge you to support the creation of a California Superfund to protect California communities and taxpayers from the climate emergency. At the time when Californians face ever-increasing costs from climate-driven disasters, we must make polluters pay for the damage their products have wrought," unquote. I also want to thank Walnut Creek's Sustainability Manager, Candace Rankin-Mumby, who supplied a wish list of items the City Council could invest Climate Superfund money in. At the top of her list is increasing the number of city facilities with solar energy and battery storage. At present, the city has no emergency energy storage. The City of Walnut Creek has an extensive sustainability action plan and has voted climate change and the environment as top concerns for several years. This is a timely opportunity to follow through on your promises to residents and businesses. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Valerie Ventry Hutton. I live at 475 Summit Road in Walnut Creek, California, and I'm respectfully asking the City Council to pass a resolution in support of Climate Superfund Act, which you've just heard about from many others. Polling from last year shows 70% of California voters support requiring fossil fuel companies to help pay for climate disaster costs through a Climate Superfund bill. The problem is that oil companies are spreading a myth that the Climate Superfund will raise gas taxes, and we know this is a great concern to people. California has high gas prices. We know that. The problem is the Climate Superfund will not raise the gas taxes, and I'd like to explain a few reasons why. I've also entered something into the public record because this is a very lengthy talk, and I have 2 minutes, so I'm not going to share that with you. Why is it important to hear this? Well, global markets set the oil prices. Individual companies and groups of companies do not do that. Even OPEC, while they can influence global supply, cannot dictate prices in specific regions or for specific companies. Competition drives gas prices. It may not feel like that when you're filling up, but they do. 7 major oil companies provide gas and gasoline in California. Chevron, Marathon, you all can probably name them. These are called branded companies. There's also unbranded companies, and you know these too. Costco, Rotten Robbie. If Company A is charged a Superfund fee, raises its prices, people will go to Company C, which may not be charged the Superfund price and wants to keep its prices low. The market will help regulate the gasoline prices. Finally, the California Gas Price Gouging and Transparency Law, very long name, is passed a couple of years ago, is intended to protect Californians from price gouging. The law prohibits refineries from passing on non-operational costs to consumers. A Superfund fee would be a non-operational cost. It would be charged to headquarters, not to the refineries and not to the gasoline distributors. Oil companies love to say please pass the resolution.
Thank you.
Oh, wow, that's far away from my bifocals, too. Honorable council members and fellow residents of Walnut Creek, my name is Ellen Lang, and I'm a physician, and I do live in Walnut Creek. I'm here seeking your support for a Climate Superfund resolution, and I get to focus on the human health impact of greenhouse gases and their associated costs. The burning of fossil fuels produces greenhouse gases, and these are responsible for climate change. These compounds mainly directly cause respiratory and cardiovascular disease, such as asthma, chronic lung disease, heart attacks. Climate change also impacts human health due to increases in wildfires, flooding, and extreme heat events. Studies of the health-related economic costs of climate change in California are not plentiful. However, there is some available data, and that includes a study from the UCLA Fielding School of Public Health, which found that from 2008 to 2018, more than 52,000 premature deaths in California were attributable to fine particulate matter from wildland fires. The economic impact of these fires is estimated to be more than $430 billion that we as California taxpayers have paid out. The health effects of extreme heat were studied by the California Insurance Commissioner, yay, from years 2013 to 2022. These findings showed that 7 extreme heat events resulted in nearly 460 deaths, more than 5,000 hospitalizations, more than 10,000 emergency department visits, and associated total costs of nearly $5 billion. These effects and costs are directly attributable to the largest fossil fuel polluters. In my opinion, these polluters should be held responsible for damages, mitigation, and cleanup as stipulated in the Climate Superfund bill. I urge you as city leaders to pass a resolution in support of this bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Karen Perkins. I live at 1935 Golden Rain Road, Walnut Creek. I also am here to urge you to pass the resolution for the Climate Superfund bill. And I want to point out some of the good things that this money will go to. And I think the oil companies that just got a huge tax break can afford to pay a little bit, because otherwise the taxpayers, us, will be paying for these things. But these are some of the good things. In addition to paying for costly wildfires and health-related damage, the revenue generated from this one-time tax will help generate resources our state needs to respond to climate catastrophes and build climate-resilient neighborhoods. 40% of the funds will be directed to disadvantaged communities. Some examples of projects, excluding the creation of new jobs that revenue generated from this bill could help pay for, include making schools more climate resistant by upgrading air conditioning. Californians now will spend an extra $200 million per year for more frequent air conditioning and $1 billion per year on road damage. Distribute air filters to homes in wildfire-prone areas. Help local governments manage the impacts of sea level rise along the coast, and direct additional resources to our firefighters and first responders. So I really hope that you pass this resolution, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Hannah Fuller. I'm not a resident of Walnut Creek. I live in Alamo, but I have been working as a psychiatrist in Walnut Creek for the last 9 years, and currently I'm at 1910 Olympic Boulevard. And I am here also for the same reason, that I really want to urge the Walnut Creek City Council to pass the resolution in support of Superfund, California Superfund bill. As a psychiatrist, I have been seeing over the years that how many of my patients are directly affected by climate change, especially young individuals with a lot of like anxiety, a lot of risk of like their mothers who have hard time like sleeping or having panic attacks, and it's creating so much destabilization in our community. There's also overall risk, like the existential concerns in young individuals, which creates a lot of anxiety. And I think Walnut Creek City will show not only a symbolic support, but it will also the promise of the revenue that this bill can bring will give us hope, like all my patients in Ave and the community, that how this that we care about them in mitigating what these big fossil fuel industries are doing to us and our future. So thank you. I just hope that you support that.
I appreciate it.
Good evening. My name is Herb Solomon. I live in Rossmore. A letter was sent to Mayor Darling and to a lot of us from Heidi Harmon, who's the past mayor of San Luis Obispo. I'm going to paraphrase some of her sentiments. She is a longtime climate advocate, and she urges you to pass a resolution in support of California's Make Polluters Pay legislation. It would create a super fund to help pay for the damage that's been done. As a former mayor, she understands firsthand how challenging it is to keep a city running, even in the best of times. The growing impact of climate crisis and the immense financial strain they place on local governments can be terrifying. The Make Polluters Pay bill is designed to help communities recover by ensuring that fossil fuel companies bear responsibility. Passing a resolution is more than just a symbolic gesture. It's an effective way for cities to communicate to the state legislature that local governments are demanding meaningful financial support in the face of escalating climate disasters. Waiting will be too late. This is a critical time to influence legislation that could bring long overdue relief to communities. She urges all of you to move forward and join the growing number of cities like San Diego and Los Angeles, standing up for fairness, accountability, and climate change. She signs it in gratitude, Heidi Harmon. I think that all of us understand that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Marcia Lieberson. I'm the one that has written most of you and called you to ask you to put this on the agenda. So again, I'm here to support this bill, and I want to invalidate an argument against this bill. The argument is, why bother with this when California is already engaged in cap and trade? Well, we know that this cap and trade program has generated great revenue in the past. It's a program based on allowing polluters to subsidize their pollution in buying allowances. So basically, it allows them to continue to pollute, but yet funnel the money into programs, environmental programs, that do benefit California. But recently, cap and trade has lost up to $3 billion in potential revenue from a plunge in these allowance prices, which are the cost of permits that polluters can purchase in exchange for their emissions. There's no signs that there's a recovery ahead for cap and trade in the August 20th auction this year. So again, another loss in revenue from cap and trade, yet will allow the polluters to continue pollute. I also want to mention, again, in summary, that cap and trade is not a valid argument to say that since we're engaged in it, then everything is okay. So another city that has passed a resolution is Albany, and we know that the states of Vermont and New York actually passed the bill last year. Please, please pass a city resolution supporting this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Laura Burnell, and I live at 2841 Golden Rain Road in Walnut Creek. I also am here to urge you to keep working on the passage of SB 684 and AB 1243. We are grateful that the bill will be studied in the next 2 years. You all know that with the federal government at this time doing all that it can to dismantle the EPA and other safeguards for clean air and water quality, that puts the burden and the onus and the responsibility more and more at the state and local level. And as you all know, California has led the nation in clean air and water for decades and decades. So all I want to add to this is that we cannot stop holding polluters accountable, and we have a way to have them pay for some of that pollution that will benefit our clean air and clean water efforts. I trust, and we trust, all of us here, that Walnut Creek will continue their part in this noble and essential work to protect the air and water quality of Contra Costa County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Evening. My name is Philip Mertz, living at 1209 Skycrest Drive, Rossmore, Walnut Creek. And I'm not going to repeat everything that was well said by members of Sustainable Rossmore Club in most cases. Thank you to those on the board, council, who have already voted for this, and please consider voting for the resolution and also empowering Rebecca Bauer-Kahane to do the same. Thank you very much for looking out for our future and our children and stopping the destruction of our environment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Elliot Curtis, and I live at 2601 Ptarmigan Drive in Walnut Creek. I'm urging you to support the Polluters Pay Climate Fund Act. And I listened to everyone say what I was going to say, and I decided to say something personal. I moved here 10 years ago, and I moved from Connecticut, and I come out here and I see wildfires, floods, and all other kinds of things that are going to ruin our life. So I took it upon myself. I have 48 units in my entry, and I decided I'm going to have a team, and I joined the Emergency Preparedness Organization, and I got 8 people to come on my team just for our entry to make sure everyone in our entry does everything they can and know what they need to know about saving our earth and saving themselves in any kind of event that can harm us. And that has sustained for 8 years. And the same team I started with, except for one person who moved away, the same team has stayed intact. And anytime anyone has a question, one of us is there to answer it. And I urge you to support this act. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any additional public comment? You guys are good. You made it. You had 6 minutes left. As we've explained, we can't take action on things from public comment. If there are any brief remarks from the council, anybody feel so?
I think that we have a legislative committee, right? That maybe we could take this to the legislative committee for discussion and see if it's something that needs to be brought back to or that could be brought back to the council for discussion on the agenda.
Yeah, I see the value in doing that. I think the legislative committee would be a good resource to consider the item. I just wanted to commend all the speakers too. I didn't hear you duplicate one another, and as the questions were kind of going in my mind, each of you sort of answered them, and so I appreciate you being prepared and organized and comprehensive in your presentation.
I was just texting Carol. I was going to send you a text. It said the exact same thing. You guys did a good job getting yourselves organized.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming. Well organized. Being on the legislative committee, I mean, so it sounds like we've got the 2 members, or at least 2 of the 3 members that are not on the leg committee that have suggested that this be reviewed by the legislative committee. So certainly far be it for me to say that shouldn't be the case.
Yeah, I think, do we need, if we refer this to staff to discuss with the legislative committee, do we need a vote on that, or?
You certainly could. Otherwise, if there's consensus amongst the 5 of you, direction would be fine to do so.
I think direction to discuss it with the legislative committee would be a fine outcome there. So, thank you all for coming tonight. And now we will move on to council member and staff announcements, reports on activities and requests. And city attorney, any closed session?
There are no reports from closed session.
City manager?
Yeah, good evening, Dan Buckshire, city manager. I do have one update this evening. I'm pleased to report that the project to install new lights at Tice Field was completed on July 8th, and the lights are fully operational. So thank you to all of our staff who have been involved in that project. And also thanks to our partners at PG&E for getting it electrified sooner than later, which was a very nice relief to get that done. The fields are in need of a little bit of repair, so they're recovering, and shortly, in the not too distant future, rather, the fields will be out back open for play. And I should highlight that in terms of capital projects anyway, this is the first of the Measure O funded capital projects to be fully completed. So it's another milestone in addition to some of the other services we discussed earlier being funded by Measure O.
Thank you. Councilmember reports on activities. Councilmember Francois.
Yes.
Take it off.
All right. Thank you, Mayor.
I saw you scribbling.
I was scribbling. I was going to scribble some more, but I will continue. Along with Councilmember Silva, I serve on as the city's representative to Recycle Smart, which is the joint powers authority with responsibility over composting, recycling, and landfill trash disposal, and hopefully in that order. And we are in the process of narrowing down a list. We had two proposers that made bids for our collection services contract for the next 10 years, from 2027 to 2037. And we will be making a final decision on awarding that contract at our July 24th board meeting. That meeting will be here in Walnut Creek City Hall. It'll be on the third floor, not in this room. So July 24th at 3 p.m. If you're interested and want to provide public comment, of course, you could provide emails to the Recycle Smart Board Authority before that hearing, or of course, public comment is accepted at the hearing as well. I think we've reached, based on environmental concerns and cost concerns and sustainability and all these various different factors, I think we've made I serve on the ad hoc committee on the collections services contract, and I think we'll be making a good, strong recommendation to the full board for action. Some of the items which are currently add-on items, but I think the full board will support the committee in including them in the contract, include items like equalizing the accessibility to composting services in multifamily and commercial establishments, to allowing for each residential unit to get an extra green bin and a blue bin on request, that will be provided free of charge, and that there'll be also on-call extra service pickups. So we'll be discussing all those items. I know I've enticed maybe some of the people in the audience here, but maybe some of the people out watching on television too. So July 24th at 3 p.m. we'll be awarding that contract, and if you have any public comment, please come and see us. I also serve as the council liaison to the Walnut Creek Downtown. We had a great presentation from them this evening, so I won't repeat a lot of that. I'll just want to highlight that they do have a new interactive website, walnutcreekdowntown.com, all one word. And it's really very user-friendly and kind of night and day from the website before, that you can get access. You can find restaurants, you can find retailers, you can find public art, all on their website, in addition to all the events they're hosting, with an interactive map and then links to the establishment's website. So really excited about that. And then along with, they are underway on a vision, 3-year vision plan for Walnut Creek Downtown, which is a close partnership with the city, and Councilmember Davini and I were interviewed yesterday on that and provided feedback. And that's my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Silva from the wilds of Ohio.
Oh, yes, from the wilds of Columbus, Ohio. As I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, I am in Columbus, Ohio for a 3-day meeting of the National League of Cities. It's their summer leadership meeting, and I'm a part of that leadership team. There's probably 300 of us from around the country that are here, but I'm part of that team as the vice chair of the NLC Policy Committee on Community and Economic Development. One of the things we'll be doing this week is a series of mobile tours in Columbus, and I'm looking forward to the mobile tour that is a visit to a company that is taking a modular approach to the building of affordable housing, and seeing how that's working and how it actually then comes to fruition in the field. And I want to see how it compares with what Hope Solutions did with the building industry. Also, we're slated to get an assessment on how I don't even know the name of that budget bill, but the budget bill will actually be impacting cities, towns, and villages across the country, and that should be really important, and I look forward to being able to share that. On June 20th, I attended on behalf of the city of Walnut Creek, the Association of Bay Area Governments Annual General Assembly. I was the alternate delegate, but I was able to represent. There were two items on the budget. One was the approval of the annual budget, and the other was the approval of some changes to the bylaws of ABAG. There was also a presentation done by Chris Thornburg, who is the head of Beacon Economics, and it was very interesting because he presented perspectives on what's good, what's not, and how I think his perception is that the media is giving us all different perceptions of what's happening economically across the country, and it may not be as bad or as good, depending on your perspective, as we all think it might be. The Cal Cities Board will have its summer meeting on Thursday and Friday this week, and I will be there as well. And I was just reappointed to my seat for 2 years as an at-large director and member of the Cal Cities Board. The ABAG Administrative Committee met last week, and we have two interesting reports just for information. One was on the progress on electrification and what we see in the future in the next 10 years, given what's happening at the federal level. And then the second was on wildfire hazards, and ABAG was asking the question, what can they do to help all of our cities to address the wildfire issues? And would it be, resources, consulting services, et cetera. But I think the majority of us were really trying to point out to ABAG that the one issue that's really critical is the loss of housing inventory as a result of wildfires and what that impacts to our goals to address the housing crisis and the housing affordability crisis in this state. And I just want to mention that thanks to our small and mighty team of the city manager, the assistant city manager, and my husband and I, we represented Walnut Creek well at the City PAC event 2 weeks ago, and we won the cornhole tournament, and we were all shocked. So next year, come out and help us, because it's actually very important that we raise funds to support the Political Action Committee of the League of California Cities. And thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. Councilmember DeFinney?
Good evening. I thought that Supervisor Anderson being here and talking about the Iron Horse was timely. Two of the meetings I had were about bike infrastructure and our trail system. I met with John Mercurio, who's our East Bay Parks District representative for Ward 6. That covers covers Walnut Creek and a large portion of the Mount Diablo area, the Iron Horse Trail, regional trails and parks, and then also met with some of our boardmen, our city engineer, and Matt Redman, our traffic engineer, to talk about our bike master plan. We talked about the Shadelands multimodal plan and the Olympic Corridor Trail, trying to connect the Orinda-Moraga bike system to the Iron Horse bike system. And it looks like the city goals and the East Bay Regional Parks goals align there. John was very enthusiastic about the Olympic Corridor, and in addition to that, another project that's been proposed is connecting Oak Grove over the Lime Ridge open space to New Hall Community Park. Portion of that runs through Walnut Creek, so that would be something that we'd have the opportunity to participate in. There's a Homestead Park to the Iron Horse Trail, and then improvements to the YVR Canal Trail through that corrugated steel tunnel. And there were a number of other projects as well, but those are just a few. So, these are opportunities for future improvements in our bike and walking infrastructure. Also met with the Wellness Alliance Committee last Wednesday at the Chamber of Commerce. They are working to establish Walnut Creek, further establish Walnut Creek as a center for health and wellness. It was very well attended, almost standing room only. And businesses represented there, ranging from massage and chiropractics, wellness coaching. We had a lecture on pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. So this is an alliance that's growing quickly. I think the website is still in construction, but I think it will be another great resource for the community. Attended the opening of Beyond Color at the Bedford. That's a black and white exhibit. It was quite a contrast to their last exhibit, which was extremely colorful. And so just seeing the room in a different light, in a different space was cool. This particular showing is done by jury selection, so it's blinded. They have the art pieces there. The jury votes on them, and so there are a lot of local artists represented, and a lot of the art is for sale. So an opportunity to purchase top-notch art if you're interested. I recommend going by to see it. My favorite was a picture of a dog face. Kind of looked like it was looking down on you, this big dog, and it was called Dad, It's Time to Wake Up. And also, as Councilmember Francois mentioned, we were interviewed for our Walnut Creek Downtown Vision Plan, and I thought that was a really productive conversation, and I look forward to seeing their vision plan in the near future.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
All right, a few things over the last week and a half that I was able to attend. One was the City Bike Rodeo that Walnut Creek PD and Public Works was involved in, and really it's addressing e-bikes. There was a obstacle course out, well, not so much of an obstacle course, more of just a course so that whether it's children or even adults could get familiar with the rules of the road when it comes to e-bikes. Along with speeding in our streets, these are the top two issues that I get from phone calls, emails, what I see on Nextdoor and social media is e-bikes. And we've talked about that before, where when people are riding e-bikes, they're not licensed and they can be a hazard to drivers and themselves and pedestrians. So thank you to the police department for really helping to organize that. This is not the last you're going to hear on this. I think we have a lot of discussions that are coming up about this as well. And Walnut Creek's not alone. Cities up and down the state are having these same conversations because this is an issue that we're all dealing with. I was also at the Bedford Gallery Beyond Color opening. It's a bring your best black and white glasses, I guess. It was terrific to see. And congratulations on staff for what looks like it's going to be a great exhibit. And then I'm a member of TransPAC, which deals with a lot of the transportation issues in Contra Costa County. And I'm going to bring up a topic just so that people are familiar of what's being discussed in long range. Don't inundate our centers with calls, and this is something that is years in the future, but I do think it's important to bring up, and that is that there's a lot of discussion right now with bus on shoulder and how we can help to enhance public transit. So there are statewide bills that are being discussed about having buses be able to drive along the shoulders of freeways, especially during commute times, to be able to get to point A to point B and point C faster. CHP is having discussions about this as well. They've got concerns, but these conversations are continuing to evolve. So I'm hoping that we see some good, productive bills that come out of this and how this will eventually work. One of the other things that's being discussed is how this could also work with regional roads like Treat or like Ignacio Valley Road, and potentially using one lane to be for public transit only. Now that got my hairs on edge, because I think we all know what it's like on Ignacio Valley Road when one lane is shut down during non-commute times for maintenance work. And so I made this known to the people that were at CCTA that were presenting this, that this has to be a discussion that involves our own city, that involves multiple different entities, because there's no way right now, with the way things are, that we could look at Ignacio Valley Road or any of these major regional roads shutting down a lane for public transit only. As much as I want public transit to continue to do well and people continue to take it, we also have to be realistic of what that would mean to traffic, whether it's commute or non-commute times in our cities and in our region. So just putting that out there so that people at least are paying attention to what's going on at the county and the regional levels for these kind of conversations. That's my report.
All right, thank you. And I'll finish up a couple things. MCE, a while back, the California electricity market is very much in flux. We did hit 2/3 of the power used in California in 2024 was from renewable sources, which was a great milestone. But we're still struggling with the duck bell curve and the hours of 4 to 9 when the sun is not shining and people are still using electricity. One of the things that we are going to be looking at with MCE is whether we roll out, right now we have a light green option, which is predominantly renewable, a deep green option, which is 100% renewable, but it's not guaranteed to be renewable 24 hours a day. They're looking, as they upgrade their technology and as they better understand the market, they are rolling out as a trial product power that you can purchase that is renewable 24 hours a day. That will probably first only be available to municipal customers. Many cities have a lot of different types of accounts, and so they're looking for just some test places to do that. We are hoping that the market stabilizes. We've seen some good signs that the peaks in power costs in the 4 to 9 time period have died down a little bit, but they're still, we're struggling a little bit with that. They also are going to they have some additional money available for energy storage projects, and city staff are looking at whether or not any of the projects that we might bring on board would be eligible to compete for that money. The Mayor's Conference, District Attorney Diana Becton came and gave us a great presentation on the work that her office is doing, and on everything from organized crime to restorative justice for the juveniles in the system. That was a really good presentation. We had the Mayor Pro Tem and I had the breakfast with the chairs of the different commissions last week, and one of the things we talked about is one of the pieces of state legislation that got passed exempts a lot of different types of projects from the California Environmental Quality Act. And we got a strong request from them that we get some guidance to them on what this all means, and I think we're all still sorting through that. And now my phone just went dead. We, as part of our economic development plan, the staff and I go out and do mayor's visits. We did one with UCSF and Children's Hospital Benioff. They have a children's center here in Walnut Creek, and we got to go out and tour that. It really was a great opportunity to see a space that they had designed around the youngest patients so that kids coming in to get chemo can get it in a safe space where their family can be with them. They have PT that is designed. They don't have to go in there and do PT. We all do PT all the time at our age, but kids that are doing PT, they have juvenile PT. The other one that we got to do as a mayor's visit was Joybound People and Pets. That was this morning, and I think I still have the cats in my bag. Don't tell my husband I'm bringing them home. But we got a great tour of their facilities. They do a lot of great work out there and talk about their expansion plans. They're talking about building a new facility that has boarding opportunities for it. They already do grooming on site as a service to the public, paid service, and then they'd have boarding in the same kind of high quality care in the new Joybound facility there. So that was fun to see. We've cut a bunch of ribbons. The Book Friends, which is the library in Pleasant Hill, has a great bookstore out by Pete's on Ignacio, and it's their 1-year anniversary, and they had a lot of great books there. It's all run by volunteers, and the money goes back into the library system. Rivian is one of our new electric vehicle companies, and they moved into Broadway Plaza. So we got to go down. I got to sit in one of those and smell the leather. It was really good. Highline Jewelry has jewelry that is Highline. it was interesting. It was a great family story. They started out with just a jewelry cart at a mall, and they have built a very successful company. They cater to members of the Warriors, the Niners, other folks like that have shopped there. So I didn't see anything that my husband could afford, but that's okay. And what else? I went to Beyond Color at Bedford, and I'm throwing my husband completely under the bus. There was a really great painting. It was only $2,000, and we decided not to buy that. But it was a really good exhibit. And then we got to do the new hire event. I think you were there for that, and I think Councilmember Silver was there. And it's always great to meet the new city employees and bring them into the Walnut Creek family. And so it was great to meet our new employees and really appreciate so much work that the staff does in every which way. And it's always great to have new members of the team coming on board. And that is my report. And now we will take a short break and be back at 8 o'clock. All right, I'll call us back in. Next on the agenda is a public hearing for the consideration of waiving reading and introduction of an ordinance amending various sections of Title 10 and other things. And I will turn to staff for a presentation.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem and members of the council. I'm Crystal DeCastro, Acting Principal Planner for the Community Development Department. And the proposed item tonight is a general plan amendment and various amendments to the zoning code. As a note, an errata sheet was provided prior to this meeting, so if approved, the amendments to the zoning ordinance will also incorporate the revisions provided in the errata sheet. So just for some background, California, or the state of California, continues to pass laws to increase housing production and streamline local land use regulations. As a result, cities must update their general plan and zoning ordinances to stay in compliance. The purpose of these amendments are to ensure compliance with the state law, streamline our processes, and provide greater clarity. The proposed amendments are primarily administrative and procedural in nature. They align the city's general plan and the zoning ordinance with current state laws and reflect the city's existing practices. So the first one we'll begin with is the general plan amendment. This general plan amendment is to our existing general plan policy 9.3. And 9.3 is a growth control policy which limits residential development by placing a housing cap. So under Senate Bill 330, cities cannot impose residential growth control policies that conflict with their obligation to provide housing. The city's housing element also calls for the removal of this growth policy in order to comply with state law. So the proposed amendment would remove this policy from the general plan and then it would also align the state law, align our general plan with the state law, and support the city's goals to promote the production of housing. So the next 5 slides addresses amendments to the zoning code. And this first one relates to bedroom additions. Currently, the existing code provides that a minor use permit with a public hearing is required for bedroom additions involving non-conforming structures or uses. Under AB 916, cities are prohibited from requiring a public hearing for any project that adds up to 2 bedrooms within an existing home. This would be reflected in our zoning code by amending the code to allow non-conforming bedroom additions to be reviewed ministerially, meaning at staff level with no public hearing. In addition, if the project triggers any related parking requirements, such a project would be subject to review and approval by the Community Development Director, which is still staff level and no public hearing. The next one is permit expirations. So under Assembly Bill 2117, the time spent in a lawsuit or a legal proceeding cannot count towards the expiration or timeline, thereby extending the expiration date of that project. This amendment updates the zoning code to reflect AB 2117, pausing the expiration timeline for approved projects that are delayed due by legal proceedings or actions such as an appeal, litigation, or lawsuits. The timeline would then resume once the action is resolved. So noticing requirements have also been updated by the state law. Under Assembly Bill 2904, the noticing period for a zoning ordinance or an amendment to a zoning ordinance is increased from 10 days to 20 days. This only applies to Planning Commission notices and not City Council noticing. Accessory dwelling units on multifamily residential lots have also been affected. The city's current code has been superseded by Senate Bill 1211. The 1211 bill expands the number of detached ADUs allowed. It now depends on whether the multifamily lot has a proposed development or an existing development. So a proposed development is allowed up to 2 detached ADUs. This applies to lots where a multifamily development has proposed plans, under review, was granted approval, or has been issued a building permit. The key factor here is that the development on these lots have not yet been built or finalized, as opposed to an existing development. They're allowed up to 8 detached ADUs or 1 ADU per existing unit, whichever is less. This applies only if there's already an existing unit on the lot. An existing unit would be defined as an existing primary unit or an existing ADU unit. And finally, the minor code cleanups for internal consistency. These changes will clarify objective standards for all ADU lots. And then the word junior is added to development standards for JADU or junior accessory dwelling unit parking. And lastly, clarifying the fence heights for homes on corner lots. In conclusion, on June 26th, the Planning Commission considered and approved recommendation to council for these amendments. So staff recommends that council waive the first reading and introduce the zoning ordinance, including the changes on the errata sheet provided, adopt the resolution approving the general plan amendment, and then finally make CEQA exemption findings. This concludes the presentation, and staff is available for any questions.
Thank you very much, and thank you for attending to all the detail. I appreciate organized minds looking at this. Questions for Councilmember DeFinney?
Thank you. I have a question about the detached ADUs. You said that for an existing property, you are allowed 1 detached ADU per structure or per dwelling unit?
Per dwelling unit, yes.
And does an attached ADU count as a unit for you then to be able to build a detached ADU?
No, it wouldn't count. It wouldn't be part of the existing unit count.
Okay, so it's multifamily. It's for multifamily, like
Units,
homes,
yes.
duplexes, triplexes, things like that. Okay.
Thank you. Councilmember Silva? You're good. Councilmember Francois?
Sure, why not? I saw some of the nice presentation, by the way. Made it very simple to understand. There were some revisions, I think, to add the word appeal in the tolling period for the permits. And I just wanted to confirm that my understanding of that state law was that it tolls the permit life during like a legal challenge, but not an administrative appeal. Is that the intent of the changed language there?
I would have to refer to legal on that.
That's correct.
Okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem, I think you've done a great job here, and I appreciate the clarifications that came out and all the work you guys did on that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead now and open it up for public comment. Seeing nobody, I'll bring it back up here for discussion and/or a motion.
I'll move to, unless there's a lot of debate on this, to waive the first reading and introduce a proposed ordinance amending the zoning ordinance, including the changes on the errata sheet provided this evening. Can I keep going?
I'll second that.
Adopt a resolution approving the general plan to remove policy 9.3 and make the CEQA exemption findings.
And reflecting the changes that were in the staff report. There was a couple minor things.
I think that was just for number 1, and yes.
Okay. A second. Roll call?
Councilmember Francois.
Aye.
Mayor Darling.
Aye.
Councilmember DeVinny.
Aye.
Councilmember Silva.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Walk.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right. That was fun. So now we'll move on to the next one is consideration of the adoption of a resolution approving the guidelines for the downtown permitted outdoor dining structure, otherwise known as PODS, incentive program. And I invite staff to come up here and give us a presentation.
Good evening, Mayor Darling, Pro Tem Wilk, members of City Council, members of the public. I'm Mike Neiman, your Economic Development Manager. And this item in front of you is the incentive program for the outdoor dining pods. As you may recall, we have had quite a history of outside dining here in our downtown. With over 120 restaurants, there's always been an outdoor dining component, even before COVID. COVID brought light to that, in particular because a lot of retail was closed. So that put a lot of emphasis and pressure and an opportunity to go outside. And that's where there has been a surge in outdoor dining via parklets on the public right-of-way. That has been very successful here and vibrant during early COVID in 2020. But that has gone away after the ending of the emergency order by the governor. And given the popularity of that concept in downtown and positive input, there has been an emergence of what we call the ODP, the Outdoor Dining Program, that has taken over a year to develop. There's been a robust input process. A lot of stakeholders came together. There was a City Council ad hoc subcommittee, and that gave way for this ODP program that is a multifaceted program. It includes a lot of different components, and that was adopted in December of 2022 with components including land use requirements, parking impacts. There was building and traffic safety, design and considerations, a number of other enhancements, and the process of how restaurants were to go about it. That program includes the downtown core as well as some of the broader downtown areas. You can see the map here in the north and south parts of downtown in particular. And it includes a number of outdoor dining components. So it's important to point out that it's more than just the parklets. It includes the tables and chairs, which are also called sidewalk dining. Those are on the sidewalk. Many restaurants have those. There are city patios. There are what we call pods. And pods stands for permitted outside dining structure, which could be with or without a roof. And that's the crux of the incentive program we'll talk about tonight. But also there are private patios and private parking lots that are all part of the ODP as adopted in 2022. Most of these components have been successful since, and you could see various examples as you walk through downtown. But interestingly, the pods component, there's only been one restaurant that has delivered a pod after the program adoption. So we've gotten some input as to why that is the case, and the biggest input that we've received from restaurants is cost. And there's a cost to construction of these pods, and then there's an ongoing cost because the program includes rent to the city. So both of these add up to the total cost for some of the restaurants. So given that in May of 2025, Council expressed interest in looking at various incentives to bring more pod activity. And on June 3rd, Council directed staff to set aside $100,000 for incentivizing pods, as you'll see in the proposal in front of you tonight. And June 17th, the last meeting, those funds were appropriated from the Downtown Parking Management Fund. And I'm here to share some of the guidelines reflective of this input. And as you can see here, we're talking about a $100,000 program. The program would be consisting of $10,000 per restaurant on a first-come, first-served basis. By first-come, first-served, we mean the pod would need to be completed in order for the restaurant to apply for the incentive. We would apply retroactively going back to the adoption of the original ODP. So a restaurant that has already delivered a pod would be eligible to apply. There would be a time limit, and we envision through the end of this calendar year for restaurants to apply in order to incentivize the timeliness of delivery of the pods. The eligibility would be basically good standing as defined through whether it's having an active business license, having proof of insurance, which is a requirement under the grant, good standing with the police department and code enforcement, and no outstanding city obligations, tax liens, or debt. The use of funds would be for business expenses related to rent, working capital, inventory, or payroll, and the application would have a self-certification area for that. And the process would be via a signed grant application that would be submitted to the economic development, and we would deploy the funds upon the final inspection of the pods, subject to. And the overall spirit of this proposal is to try to make it as simple as possible to really streamline the process. And with that, the recommendation from staff would be to adopt the resolution approving the guidelines for the pods incentive program. And we're here to take your input and answer any questions.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you for turning this one around so quickly from the budget adoption. Questions? Mayor Pro Tem?
Sure, thank you. Thank you, Mike. Question, what do we hear is the main reason that restaurants are not building pods currently?
Well, it's the cost. It's the fact that it's and it's always more than the cost, but primarily it's the cost. Is the fact that revenues have been a little bit lower than before. There's been a lot of turbulence in the broader economy that created uncertainty. So, kind of given that background, restaurants are particularly sensitive to the cost.
So, is it the cost of building, or what they feel will be the ongoing cost afterwards?
It's both.
So it says maximum $10,000 per restaurant. How, I assume therefore that some would get 5,000, some would get 10,000?
It would be 10,000 across the board.
It would be, okay.
The way that it's currently envisioned.
And is that predicated upon the kind of restaurant that it is? If it's a larger restaurant versus a smaller one, or versus a coffee shop?
Yeah, the idea here is, and this certainly kind of open for interpretation and input from council, but the idea from staff would be to make it as simple as possible. There is a number of considerations that we've made in order to incentivize delivery of pods. We started with outreach, and to do outreach, we shared what the design standards are. We made sure that we have dedicated staff to guide restaurants through the process. That's been well received. There was a dialogue. We've learned that there were some considerations related to the cost. So we've worked with restaurants to potentially come up with some designs that would reduce some of the construction cost elements. So that's been well received. And then we see this as being kind of the last component of being an incentive. So we thought that it would be a simpler process from the implementation standpoint to make it 10,000 per restaurant to kind of bridge the gap, because that gap would really vary. And to your point, there's a number of considerations, right? Some restaurants may want a larger pod. Some may want it with a roof versus without the roof. There is a range in building materials. There are considerations about location. So the thinking from staff was that if we start introducing some of those complexities, it kind of makes the program a little bit more challenging and potentially less certain for restaurants to understand how much they would get. So having a $10,000 incentive would not only be simple, but hopefully enough to bridge the gap, given that we're working closely with them, we're engaged in a dialogue, we're working through creative designs that would help them reduce costs. So that's the rationale.
Okay, and lastly then, would this money, is the idea that it would be given upfront or as a reimbursement after it's built?
Yeah, the idea here that it would be given as a reimbursement. So first we would have a restaurant apply. They would get, the application would get approved. Then they would build a pod. And then upon the final inspection of the pod, they would be eligible to apply for the reimbursement.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Councilmember Silva?
Yes, I have some questions. Okay. Thank you very much for the presentation and for turning this around so quickly. So actually, I want to start where you left off with Councilmember Wilk. Was asking about it. So it's going to be a flat $10,000. So basically, it's up to 10 restaurants.
Yes.
Okay. So sorry, it's almost midnight here, so I'm I'm working on a little less energy than. So you just said that they would apply for the grant, receive approval of the application, but in order to receive the money, they have to have the construction completed and signed off and basically open for business before December.
That's correct. They would be eligible to apply for the grant after they have applied and been approved and completed the pod. And both the completion of the pod and the application would be before the end of December of this year.
Okay. Do we have any idea? I mean, we have one pod that's been completed, and we heard comments and feedback that it was too expensive to build and to operate. To what extent did we look at what the actual costs were? Do we have any pro formas done, any samples done? Do we have any data? Because, well, yeah, on behalf of the taxpayers, we should be asking those questions.
Yes.
And I'm sure you all have. So would you be willing to tell us what it is?
Yes, absolutely. We do have data, and we use data as the basis for this decision. The main caveat before I talk about the data is that it happens to be all over the place because of the range and some of the variables that are at play here. So first, we got a pro forma from an operator, and we reviewed that carefully. And what that pro forma showed from the operator standpoint, that it would take about 7 years to recoup that investment. And it was to justify that it was not a really, it was not a very robust investment from their standpoint. There is a number of assumptions in that pro forma. One of those assumptions was they would only be able to use that pod. The value of the pod would be during the busiest time, which was several hours Friday, Saturday night. So that was one of kind of the underlying assumptions that's really critical. What is really the value of that pod? Is that kind of a marginal space only when they're pushing capacity inside? Or is it really what we've heard from other restaurants, an enhancer to the quality of the service altogether? There's a marketing component because it activates the storefront. There may be people walking by who see the food showcased. So it's not necessarily just an additional operating space as much as an overall enhancement in guest experience. So if you look at it through that lens, perhaps it's something that could be utilized more, and that really shortens the return on investment from the operator. So running some sensitivities on that, we thought that it would be conceivable that the return could be made back much sooner within a several-year time frame, which would be much more in line with other types of investments. We also looked at it through a different lens, which is what is the cost for someone to build a pod, even with the addition of the rent, relative to the building space. And how much they're paying in rent for building space. So it's almost like if you were to look at expansion of the existing building, and it seemed to have been, again, that there's a range of rents, but depending on the type of building, it could be more cost effective to build a pod, even though it's not the same apples to apples, because it's not necessarily adjacent building space, but if you look at it as an enhancing dining experience, it's more cost effective. And then the last caveat, I would say that there is a range of pod costs that could vary substantially, and that's what I mentioned earlier. If you were to have a pod with a roof, if you were to have nicer features, the cost of it would be substantially higher than if you were to build a lighter design. So that's where some of the considerations of the pro forma have been substantiated with some of the conversations we had with restaurateurs, where it's something that they're interested in and they were looking at it, but because of the uncertainty and some of the priorities in their investments, it's just something that they are interested in, but the financial return is not that great that it's something that they would jump on. So that's where we see that this incentive would potentially bridge that gap of being in that marginal area of, is that something they invest in or not? And we hope that that would make it worthwhile for them.
Mayor, let me just offer up a little more context and history on this. So one of the challenges from my perspective of this program, there's been a lot of inaccurate information that's been floating around about costs and how things may cost or not. As we're aware, there's one restaurant that had a pod. It was rumored amongst a lot of folks downtown that cost over $100,000 to build. After reviewing that in more detail, it was found that it cost roughly half of that to build. So that, I think, has stalled this program a bit. What I want to give a lot of folks, including some of our downtown partners and certainly our staff, is looking at our design of the pods and the requirements, balancing safety with aesthetics, which was really the direction from your council to strike that balance. We want these to be safe, but to look for ways to drive some cost out. And we have come up with some alternate designs that we think still meets the aesthetic that's desired by council, still offers safety, but does so in a less costly manner. And we're thinking the ranges, we'll find out here if restaurants pursue and get some actual quotes, but anywhere for a pod without a roof could be in the $10,000 to $25,000 range. So down considerably from what was rumored to be $100,000 down to considerably less than that. If that proves to be the case, that coupled with this incentive program, hopefully we'll see many more pods being built.
Other questions?
Yeah, thank you for the answer to that question. And I'll try to put my hand over the microphone. I can't control the ambient noise in this hotel lobby. So I see that there's an assurance in here that to be eligible to receive grant funds, you have to be in good standing with the cities in terms of finances. So I assume that they don't owe us any money. And then the second would be, does that also include that we're in good standing with respect of our license? Sometimes we've had, during the outdoor dining period during COVID, we had some establishments that were being very loud and very uncooperative with their neighbors. Do we have the ability to consider that as part of an eligibility criterion?
Yes, we do, and we have, and that was the spirit of that criteria, and that eligibility requirement is actually consistent with the requirement under the ODP. So the thinking is that in order to even be eligible to build the pods, you would have to be in good standing, and therefore you would also be required to be in good standing in order to be reimbursed. So those two are consistent throughout.
Okay, thank you, Mike. My last question has to do with coffee shops. What came up a couple of years ago as we were discussing the program was that for those restaurants that are coffee shops, they are daytime operations primarily, and more significantly, they do not sell alcohol. And so therefore that dampens their revenue stream, so to speak. Did we consider, for example, taking 20,000 of the 100,000 or 10,000 of the 100,000 and making those strictly for coffee shops and at a lower price because they don't conceivably need as much? Did we have any conversation about that to circle back to that issue that came up a couple of years ago?
We have not had that conversation, and that certainly could be a way to modify the program. I would just kind of caution that to the extent that we start making modifications and getting into the granularity of different types of businesses, the trade-off is really with some of the complexity that makes the program less simple. Therefore, it may not be implemented to the same extent where we really use it as a response to the most interested parties who would deliver pods hopefully within the short time frame thereafter as an incentive that we understood from council to be to incentivize delivery of pods. but certainly that could be an option. And I would perhaps consider having more conversations with coffee shops in particular to try to better understand the distinction in economics of that kind of business relative to restaurants, which has not been done as part of this proposal.
And just if I could add to that, just as a refresher for everybody, you know, we did vet that a while back when the outdoor dining program was created. And as Mike noted, trying to really understand the business model and share of revenue derived from the different types of sales of businesses would be very difficult. As we know, some coffee shops, if we're using that example, truly just sell coffee, others sell coffee and food, and interestingly, some of those coffee shops that came forward before now sell alcohol as well. So if their model changes over time, it seems like it'd be really difficult to monitor that and potentially adjust the program, hence the reason we are trying to take a more simplified approach.
Thank you for answering my question. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, Councilmember DeFinney?
Yeah, my question is about the construction and needing to be finished by December 31st. There's always delays in construction. What is there any? And I also understand the desire to incentivize someone to move quickly, but do we have a grace period, or we think we'll be flexible if they're near completion but not quite completed, that type of thing?
Yeah, the thinking for this end of the year timeline was because the goal for this program is to incentivize completion of pods before the end of the summer, because that's really the busy time for restaurants. And we thought that if we were to get it approved, we could really create momentum now. So we only extended it until the end of the year in hope that the program would be successful enough. Certainly there is a discretion as to when the timeline is, and that somewhat depends on how successful we are, which is a little bit difficult to tell based on some of these preliminary conversations we have had. So it will be very successful. Hopefully we would deploy the funds well before the end of the year.
Councilmember Francois?
Thanks, Mayor. Following up on Councilmember DeVinny's question about the time limit, can you kind of shed a little light, Mike, on, I know we've only had one, formal one under the program. What was the time frame from application to construction on that one, generally in terms of months?
Yeah, I think for that particular one, it's a little bit of an anomaly because there were some unique factors. But going forward with dedicated staff and commitment to try to guide applicants through the process, we envisioned that once the application is approved, construction could be done fairly quickly. So for some of the lighter designs, probably within a week. And it really depends on the construction type, because if you're adding a roof, it makes it a structure, so then that would take a little bit longer. It makes it a building, so then the certification of completion would take a little bit longer. But I would imagine that if everything goes well, it even in the more complex design scenario, well within a month.
Just thinking too, though, on the front end, right before an application is even submitted, a restaurant would have to hire an architect, get a contractor on board. So there's, I imagine, and that's not city time, but time, it's still time that would go into this process before they could even submit the application, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. The design changes that the city manager raised, are those already in effect, or are those shortly to be in effect, or?
They are in effect because they're within the existing ODP program design guidelines.
That's great. It's good to hear that and know that in addition to this financial incentive program, staff's already made some efforts to fine tune the design parts of this. And then last question on the incentive program for the pods, it would apply whether the pod is on private or public property, right?
Well, the way that it's currently structured, it would apply for pods on public property, because I believe all pods that we envision having would be on public property. I can't think of a scenario where anyone would build a pods on private property right now.
only think of one, but okay, the way the program is structured, it's just for pods on public property.
Yes, correct.
Okay. And we're not talking tables and chairs or something like, we're talking about the structure through the formal program.
Yes, the incentive is specific to the pods.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. And thanks for making this a fairly simple process. I wanted to walk through timing, though. So now, if somebody wanted to build a pod, would they apply to you now to reserve the $10,000 and then not get the $10,000 until the end of the construction?
So the way that the program is currently structured is they would only be able to apply for the incentive after the pods is already completed. And the thinking behind that is because we want to incentivize completion of the actual pods rather than just taking applications. If something changes, their financial priorities may change. We really want to see the pods completed. So that, in our mind, creates an incentive for them to actually see that to completion, get the final certification, and then be able to apply for the reimbursement.
And so you run a little bit of a risk. Say you have 11 pods going and the last pod comes in, they'll miss out.
That's true. That would be a risk, although from the delivery of the pods standpoint, that would certainly be a good problem to have.
Yeah, I know. I know. And then as far if somebody was interested in pursuing a pod, the conditions that you have lined out are relatively clear-cut, except being in good standing with the police department. If somebody is considering doing a pod, it would behoove them to have a conversation with you guys to make sure that that is true?
Yes, absolutely. In both of these things, with a number of applicants in the pipeline and good standing, this program is really premised on the idea that we will continue having an ongoing dialogue with restaurants. And having relationships, having a dialogue, having a flow of information is really the crux of the success of this program. So that's something that we have been able to prioritize several months ago and will continue going forward.
Okay, so if somebody is doing one of these, it would probably behoove them to be in communication, even if they don't formally apply until after it's done, in conversation with you guys as they're going through the process.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
maybe we'll have the good problem.
Mayor, if I can just add to this, there's two pieces to this. There's the incentive portion, and there's the actual application to build one.
Yeah, they have to talk to us about that, don't
Yes,
they?
so if somebody's not in good standing, we wouldn't issue the permit to proceed with construction.
Okay. Oh, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about it that way. Okay, thank you. Any more? Looks good. Why don't we go ahead and open it up for public comment now? See who's racing up to the front here.
Good evening, Kathy Hemingway, Walnut Creek Downtown Association. I just wanted to thank staff for continuing this conversation on behalf of the business community. This has been months in the making, and we've been able to incorporate a lot of the feedback from the business community. And then staff has also been able to get creative with the build out, with creating this less expensive option that can be fortunately expedited through the permitting process and speed up the build out. And then also to council, thank you for providing the funding to assist the restaurant owners and operators with the adding the much needed funds to create this activity, particularly that's needed within our traditional downtown. So it's very important, and we look forward to continuing conversations to grow this program and create some additional vitality to the downtown dining scene.
Thank you. I had one quick question. Have you heard concern, we obviously are looking at the December 31st deadline.
Yeah.
Have you heard concern from restaurateurs that that's too soon, that they won't be able to do it, or?
No.
You're feeling good?
No.
about them? Okay.
Yeah, there's enough interest, I think, that this has kind of spurred them along to be able to move that forward. So at this point, ideally, as Mike mentioned, they'd like to capture those summer months. So those that are seriously considering it are able to move forward with that timeline.
Good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good evening. My name is Rolla Gabin. I'm a business owner downtown, property owner as well. Also own restaurants. I'm here to say thank you for an amazing design that was created through the city of Walnut Creek, obviously through COVID. Disappointed to see no pods really have been built except for one. I personally know the person who has the Main Street Kitchen. He's actually Warren's landlord, and we have discussed intensively of what it's taken him to build it and why, and for many reasons. Actually, the design that Mike is talking about and the original design that the city had developed is the design that should really be the one that everybody should consider, because it's unique. There's three different pods. Everybody can kind of mix and match. Mike's the other design is great as well, but roofs are important for restaurants and what we need. But the cost is huge, and even for restaurateurs like us. Most restaurants pay anywhere between $5 to $9 a square foot in rent. And now we're adding the fee of the outdoor pod and also about $75,000 in fees to building one. So this would obviously help, but I think what's more important is to also save the traditional downtown. And how do we do that? We kind of try to launch this program and get as many pods as we can to have activity from the Broadway Plaza into the traditional downtown, which is super important, and especially now that we're seeing activity kind of shifting into the original Joe's and kind of on the other side of town. This is even more crucial for the traditional downtown to kind of activate the pods. So thank you, and I hope it goes well.
Thank you. Any questions for Rolla, since you're here? No. I think we're good. Thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and close public comment and bring it back up here to the council for consideration. Does anybody have any remaining questions?
I do.
Councilmember Silva.
Both of our speakers said the word traditional in front of the word downtown in their comments. Is this restricted to the traditional downtown, or is it to the entire downtown area that was designated for the outdoor permitted dining program?
Yeah, this program would be for the original outdoor dining program overlay that I showed a slide for, which which includes the north and south, kind of extending beyond the traditional downtown.
All right, so we have not established any restriction, a smaller subset of that area that would be eligible for this.
No, that's correct, Councilmember Silva.
Thank you.
Any other remaining clarifications?
Well, as somebody who's been a proponent of the outdoor dining and doing what we can to make sure that restaurants can do this, it's like we've approved them for doing outdoor dining, but if they're not doing it, then we need to do something else. So I'm glad that we made this proposal for doing this incentive program, and I'm very hopeful that this will be received positively, and the restaurant community will get up and look to build some of these as quickly as possible. So I'm in favor of it. I'm happy to make the motion to approve it.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I agree. I was initially concerned a little about the time limit, but I appreciate the feedback from Walnut Creek Downtown that they're ready to go. And of course, if we need to extend it in December, we can do that too. But I say let's move forward with the program as it is. I also appreciate Councilmember Silva's questions about the coffee shops, and I think that maybe there's a different solution for that in terms of parklets or activating other parts of the downtown, but not necessarily these permanent outdoor dining structures.
Yeah.
So I'm prepared to support this as well.
So, well, with that, I'll make the motion to adopt the resolution approving the downtown permitted outdoor dining structures incentive program guidelines.
I have comments still.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was thinking, how many businesses are interested right now, roughly, do you think? What's the sort of number that's being thrown around?
Yeah, we're working with 3 that are interested in the short term, and we're still doing outreach. And we're in partnership with Walnut Creek Downtown. We'll be attending a meeting on Thursday with restaurants. So the hope is that it goes up, but 3 already as of now.
Well, because I'm hearing, still some larger numbers, like 75,000 if we want to get a shade structure and the cost. And I was wondering if we would consider, I was trying to think of ways to use the money that we've allocated to be sort of the most like potent incentive. And so one of the ideas I had was, well, what about taking the 100,000 and saying, whatever businesses get this done in 2025, you get the 100,000 split up. So if it's 5, if it's 6, if it's 7, it's a bigger incentive for those businesses, and maybe that will lure folks that are sitting on the edge right now, looking at 3 to 5, and maybe that'll push us up to 7 or 8. What do the other council members think about something like that?
Can you explain the concept a little more? Because what flashed in my head was the first person comes in, does a $75,000 pod, and applies for $75,000 of the funds. Is that?
No, yeah. Well, what I meant was, let's say 5 businesses complete it. They would each get 20,000.
Okay.
So if 7 complete it, they get something in between. Just because I think 10 is an incentive, it's helpful, but I might not be enough to push some people over the edge. And since we've already allocated that money to be spent with the hope that it will be spent, maybe that will be push a few more people into the pods.
Can I make a comment here?
Oh.
Hang on, Councilmember. Mayor Pro Tem raised his hand first.
Oh.
Sorry.
I probably would not be as
Well,
much.
I can't raise my hand out here, so.
I know, but you have a facial expression to do, so I'll get you next.
I won't be long. I probably wouldn't be as in favor of that, just because it comes down to planning. That if a restaurant makes the plan that they're going to do this and get 10,000, or then at least they can plan for that. If they're going in with the idea that, well, maybe I'll get more, it just makes it that much more difficult to plan. Plus, there is no guarantee that that is going to bring additional businesses in. I would be more in favor of saying, hey, if we get 7 restaurants that do this, and now we have to do something a little bit differently for the first 3 or 6 months of the next year, then we revisit that. But I'd rather have something that's set, that there's a plan to do, rather than restaurants guess how much they're going to end up getting.
Councilmember Silva?
Well, that was what I was going to say, Kevin,
Okay.
so thank you, having had family in the restaurant business for many years. But the other aspect is that if we only get 5, let's say, and we spend $50,000, that doesn't mean that the remaining $50,000 couldn't be allocated toward a different type of program to incentivize outdoor dining.
Yeah, and I think I'm inclined to agree, and I will go ahead and second Mayor Pro Tem's.
May I still make additional comments?
Um,
I had some prepared
Sure,
statements.
go ahead if you want to.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to say kudos to the Walnut Creek Downtown Association, Councilmember Francois, Mike, and the staff that worked on this program. I know it was, like you said, an overwhelmingly positive response from the community during COVID. And, the downtown is a resource to our community. It's something that we should continue to invest in, and I think when we do, it's good for our local economy, and it results in increased sales tax revenue, and ultimately it's a win-win for the city and for the businesses. And so I'd just like to also float another idea out there while we're talking about this, which is I know a lot of thought went into the rental amount, the $48 per square foot per year to rent the parking spaces. Yeah, I just want to point out that that's about $4 a square foot per month for basically pavement. It's not improved space. So when you compare that to the maybe $5 a month that a business might be paying for the actual restaurant itself, the space they're that's already finished and built, it does seem somewhat disproportionate. So I want to, look at that. So it's $2 an hour for a parking meter over a 10-hour day. So it's $20 per spot per day, assuming full occupancy. And so when we made that calculation, I wonder if did we fully consider that most folks that don't park in those spots will stay in Walnut Creek. They'll park in another meter. They might wind up parking in a city lot. Like, we will recoup a good portion of that revenue, and we'll also recoup that revenue in the form of enhancing the downtown and increasing sales tax revenue. And as Rolla mentioned, it's hard to do business downtown. The rents are high, and a lot of the businesses are struggling. So I wonder if we could take this time to put something on the agenda in the future to discuss and revisit the amount that we're charging now for parking space rental.
My reaction is, we have $100,000 to do this, and we are the $10,000 per pod, which is an upfront investment. It sounds like that's our staff's recommendation, is the best way to bring this forward. There is an ongoing revenue issue that people will have to deal with, but with the money, the best investment we can make up front is in defraying some of the cost of construction. And so I'm inclined to move forward with the expenditure using this plan, with the idea that if we don't get the appropriate, if we don't get 10 pods out of this, then we can look at the remaining money and talk about ways to reprogram it, look for other things, whether it's a coffee shop program or something that's, but we have one-time money, we have $100,000.
Oh yeah, no, I would definitely say that yes, the program that we're working on here today, go ahead and we'll vote on that shortly, and hopefully that will be successful. But this is an opportunity for us while we're together to, put something in the works to revisit that program. And I think that will help folks make a decision and may push more people into the wanting to do the pod space. So.
Why don't we go ahead and vote on the resolution that's the motion and the second that's on the floor, and can we at this point we don't have agendized
Yeah, you
revisiting.
do not, at this point, you have a motion and a second on the item that is on the agenda tonight. You can vote on that, and then as to Councilmember DeVinny's comment, I understand that you're understanding that you're requesting that the council consider agendizing that for the future, and that has been your comment, but that hasn't been seconded by anybody else yet, so.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and hold the vote on the first one, and then we'll come see if there's anything we want to do on the other one.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilk.
Aye.
Mayor Darling.
Aye.
Councilmember DeVinny.
Aye.
Councilmember Francois.
Aye.
And Councilmember Silva.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Is there any other motions that people want to make?
I'm assuming
you
that
can
I'm.
look at
I'm-
the city
I'm-
attorney for help with.
I make a motion to agendize the discussion of the current parking space rental fee.
Can I ask staff, what is that current rental fee? Is it recouping the $2 an hour, so $20 a day?
Yeah, generally speaking, the intent is to recoup the lost meter revenue from those specific spots. And my understanding is most pods would likely use 2 spaces. Some may only need 1, but probably most would use 2 parking spaces.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I'm not hearing a second at this point, so I think we will move forward with the $10,000 program, see how it works, come back at a future date if we need to revisit the issue and look at the other things that are going on. So next on the agenda is a presentation on the Clean Water Program overview. Staff, take it away.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor, Pro Tem, and the City Council, members of the public. My name's Lucille Paquette. I'm the Clean Water Program Manager under Public Works, and I'm here to share an overview of the Clean Water Program. Thank you for inviting me. Let's see. Tonight we'll talk about, and I'll make this brief, regulatory history, some funding, the collaboration agreement that go along with this, the county and city clean water programs, and the permit compliance. Program compliance is permit compliance and implementation, and then we'll have some questions. So to start, just a couple of basic things to know about stormwater is the motto, only rain down the drain. The whole idea is that if it's on the ground or in the street and goes into that storm drain, it's going to end up in our creeks. It's not treated, it goes straight there. So only rain down the drain. I brought one of our favorite give outs for each of you to, it's a nice magnet made by our Public Works Department, and enjoy that in your office or your refrigerator. Second point I wanted to make for the public and all of you, everybody who uses both, the sewer system versus a storm drain. The sewer system is a drainage system that goes to a sewer treatment plant. It's treated, cleaned, and then it's discharged into the bay. Storm drains are not treated. They're just straight to the bay. So when people are dumping any kind of residual stuff, drips or leaks or trash that are on the street are going to go into the storm drain straight into the creek and therefore regulated. So we'll go into that regulatory history. We can, 1969 was a Porter Cologne Act. That's our water legislation for the state of California, the water law that some of the Porter Cologne Act actually went into the Federal Clean Water Act. And some of us will remember 1972, the fire on the Cuyahoga River. Councilmember Silva's in Ohio. The Cuyahoga River is in Ohio. And that was basically a big, ugly oil, paint, solvent mess floating on the river that lit fire, very hard to put out, created a lot of public outcry. That was the 13th fire on that river, and it was the final. It was not the only river that had lit fire. So that created the Clean Water Act. That was a bipartisan approval by Congress, and that affected California in a way that empowered the regional water boards to enact the NPDES permit process, and the NPDES permit process is National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System. It was created by the EPA. That's handed down to the state. The state issues permits through the water board and regulates discharges to public waters. At the same time, the Contra Costa Clean Water Program was created in anticipation for applying for a permit. Contra Costa Clean Water Program is all the cities and towns in Contra Costa, including the county and the flood control district, together as a collaboration, cost share agreement. 1993 comes along, the county flood control district decides that they will try to create a stormwater utility assessment and area assessment, and that is an amendment to the California Clean Water Law. That passed, and that was a dedicated funding, that was created for dedicated funding for to implement the permit and to maintain stormwater infrastructure for all the cities that were involved. This pushes us into the municipal regional permit. There's a number of permits between these. There was a lot of amendments in the Clean Water Act through the 70s and 80s, and we're going to jump forward to the municipal regional permit. We're in the third. This is just a quick timeline. First municipal regional permit, or MRP, was issued in 2009, again in 2014, again in 2022, and we are going to be entering negotiations for the fourth permit starting this fall. So some of the funding and collaboration that's happened, I want to make sure that I'm covering all the important points. I'm blowing right through this. So, the stormwater utility area assessment. This came up in March when we passed the resolution for the SUA to be collected. But to go back, this was created as a dedicated funding source for stormwater management. Now, the flood control district went through a process, legal process, but also a chief engineer's report that based everything on the municipal boundaries. It's going to collect a fee from all those parcels, and that money will be used within those boundaries for, again, the permit implementation as well as storm drain maintenance and improvements. The county ordinance 93-47 established all those rules. We can get you a copy if you really want to look into it. It's actually kind of interesting, and I enjoyed reviewing this history a little deeper for this presentation. Again, in March, you just approved, again, an annual resolution asking the county to please collect the fee. And the measure, you have to redetermine the amount of that fee. That fee was set when the ordinance was approved. For Walnut Creek, the maximum is $35, and it was maxed at in 2003-04 when they added all the development regulations. That was the first time that it was maxed out, and we've been maxed out ever since. So the Contra Costa Clean Water Program, as I explained, is a collaboration to implement the permit, and more importantly, the shared compliance of the permit. It's very detailed. We have a program agreement, and that is also going to be coming up for your approval soon too. It was the last agreement was 2010 to 2025, so now we're ready to make any tweaks and reapprove that program agreement. And let's see. So this is, I thought the easiest way to explain this is the table of contents of the MPDS permit that we have. I cut it off at C22, the annual reports. There's actually a couple other provisions, but these are the provisions that we implement. And just to name a few so you don't have to read the whole thing, how we manage our municipal operations, and these are all pollution prevention control. So new development is highly regulated, construction sites, illicit discharges, trash, pesticide use, et cetera. And I'm just going to take you quick into kind of, to me, a more fun way of looking at this. Our city and our street maintenance team do the majority of the heavy lifting. We spend money on their equipment. We have great trucks. If you go to your Citizen or Employee Institute, you'll see these big trucks, and you'll see them out in the streets cleaning the storm drains. They take care of the maintenance. Full trash capture devices, which are mandatory, and some extent in the permit. Street sweeping. Our street maintenance team is always out there cleaning up illicit discharges, illegal dumping, car wrecks, knockdowns, anything that has to do with the storm drain and cleaning pollutants out of the street. And now one of the new provisions is also discharges associated with firefighting. So the picture on the top there is firefighting foam. Someone has to clean that up, make sure it doesn't get to the creek, according to the new permit. Some of the provisions, C3, development, redevelopment, many of you know about this deeply. Some of the words that, how this affects the city in the new permit is now roadway projects are regulated to some extent. So when we redo a road, certain maintenance, certain reconstruction triggers C3, and we will have to implement our green infrastructure in a roadway or offsite. The city is also required to do an additional 4.2 acres retrofit some impervious surface in the city, say parking lots at parks, or roof drains will go down to the landscaping, for instance. Some of the things we do for this touches on your priority of economic development, where it's very regulated for the development community. So you can't always fit C3 on site. It's expensive. And so we're creating an in lieu fee program to help offer sort of an incentive or options for people to be able to still build. We do inspections of all those private GI, which the list is growing. We have over 100 that we inspect over 5 years. And of course, we do site development review for private property plans. Public outreach, many of you have been involved in this as well. The Clean Water Program and yourselves, the city, hosts Kids for the Bay over at Civic Park every spring, where 10 or 12 classes come to do their outdoor classroom here. We make a bunch of brochures. We have some upstairs in the permit counter. And one of the favorite things is this diorama that shows how a watershed works, and the kids love it. We also mark all the drains. We're required to mark all the drains. Trash controls, just to update you, we've met our 100% goal for June 30th of 2025. And we're also working with private property owners, mainly commercial, to ensure private land trash compliance. Everybody has to be at a low level. As soon as we get a call, we go out, we talk to the property owners, and we make sure that those get cleaned up in a timely manner. Finally, this is one of our big ones, is the discharges associated with unhoused population. This is also a new provision in the permit, and this could be a small tent down in the creek bed, or it could be, a large encampment under a bridge that ends up being a contractor cleaning it up, chain link fences, securing it so that it can't be revisited. That's a significant permit provision. So those are the slides that I made you. There's so much more we could talk about, but I just wanted to give you an overview, and I want to open it up for questions from you who asked about this. And thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. And this is one of those things, I know a bunch of us do the cleanup crew,
Yes.
and having spent my entire career working on water and environment,
Yes.
stormwater is always I want to say poor redheaded stepchild. I don't know if I can say that anymore, but it's always been the area that is the most hard to fund because it's not a glamorous new water recycling project or a new dam, or, you can't see it and measure the benefit of it, but it is definitely something that has dramatic benefits for the environment. Questions from folks?
First of all, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
And for the presentation and the information. I don't know that I'd really put it all together, but this program funds the street sweepers as well?
Correct.
Okay. And the money that goes into the program, the assessments that are collected, goes to the county and then gets redistributed back out to each of the cities. You apply for the funding based on the programs we've done every year?
The way it works is that the revenue is about $1.3 million from Walnut Creek for the amount of impervious surface that's here. And that goes to the county clean water program. That has a cost arrangement with all the cities that are in it. We have an allocation by population. We pay our bill there. The rest of the money comes back to the city, and we use it for our clean water fund.
And it's an interesting kind of combination of city services, and then some of the facilities, the creeks and the channels, I think, are controlled by the county flood control district?
Yes. Okay. They may be, or maybe they just have an easement. Downtown Walnut Creek is very unique in that we have at least 3 creeks coming into downtown, right? And the property line goes right down the middle of the creek. So for instance, when we have a trash issue, it's the property owner's job to clean that up. Now, they have to work with the flood control district in some of the less safe areas, let's say, but nonetheless, it's an easement by the flood control district. They're responsible for it, but the property owners actually have the liability for the trash on their property.
And then on the last page of the staff report, the thing that jumped out was that we have about 1.3 in revenue and then 1.9 in expenditures. So where do we make up the difference there?
That is coming from the city. And I will also say that is kind of the worst case scenario. We've been very prudent in our spending, and we generally don't spend our whole budget. Some of the programs have changed, definitely through COVID, and so there's money in the account and there's money in the budget in case we want to revive some of those things, like creek cleanups. Things have changed over even the last 5 years, right? So the money is there. We're being very prudent about our spending. And yes, we're constantly watching that. And yes, the permit's getting more and more expensive. That we're negotiating very hard on some of this stuff because there isn't funding.
And on that point, the assessment was set in 2003, and is it because of state law now that can't get changed without voter approval, or?
That's right. So it was set in '93. It maxed in 2003, and it is subject to Prop 218. So it has to go out for a vote.
And I didn't think I'd have so many questions. This is really interesting.
It is interesting.
On the street sweepers.
Yes.
Do you have any ideas on how we can get the word out? Like, because it's like the fourth Thursday of the month or something. I look out there and I'm like, oh, I got to move the car. How do we get the word out to kind of residents, like it's street sweeper day, please don't park on the street?
We could put up signs. Some cities do that. We could send out flyers. We could put it on our website. We do have the street sweeping schedule, but
it's on the website?
That's on the website.
Okay.
But, it's not quite the same as having it on your refrigerator, like trash day is Tuesday.
Yeah.
So we could investigate any option there. We could do some outreach.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions? Thank you for the work you guys do. It is truly somewhat thankless, and now I know why we call them C3 basins.
Yes.
And I really appreciate the work that you guys are putting into the idea of an in lieu fee, because back when I used to do permitting back in the late 80s and 90s, we were always after parking lots to do more to treat the runoff.
Mm-hmm.
And they would just like, nah, we're not going to do that. And so there's a lot of those older parking lots that are probably producing tremendous volumes that if they got a little bit of treatment or something would really make a world of difference. So I think there's a lot of benefit there. You could get not only the business certainty that we're looking for, but you could also get the environmental benefit to really justify the work. So thank you for coming tonight.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
And with that,
Do you want to ask if there's public comment?
oh, is there any public comment? Anyone? Anyone? All right. Thank you for that reminder, City Manager. About 9 o'clock, I stopped thinking about that. And with that, I believe we are adjourned. Thank you.